and I'm muted. Those in the chat, thank you for joining us. If you can let us know about levels, it'd be much obliged. Before we introduce my guest here, I have some opening remarks. Uh, I just wanted to say howdy and welcome to the first Pragmagick liminal stream, live from the new Dirt and Digs of the Seattle Drizzle and Detritus. Listeners and viewers might have noticed that I've had a break in episode content over the past couple of months. A lot of that is because of relocation, career change, and releasing a new album. And I'll just say hashtag no new music for CW right there.
That's right.
I'd like to remind those that YouTube may be a place for the live streams that I do, but all of my 60 plus episodes are available in audio format wherever pods are casted, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, what have you. So if you can, please throw a thumb, drop a sub, blab a review if it behooves. And I won't stand on too much ceremony for my next guest. Goddess knows that once you get a clip show dedicated to you, like he has, you've made
Took
it.
long enough. Jeez.
And
I had to beg.
if you haven't been on the receiving end of one of his infamous tirades during his daily streams, then you're doing the internet wrong.
But it's just a matter of time. Don't worry. Stay in there, kids. It's like the first achievement.
This man has over $15,000 in attorney's fees for saying what we were all thinking. So join me in saying not today, Yahweh, and throw some psychic knucks to Mr. Well Chanting himself. CW Chanter, how are you?
I am doing great. I am blessed, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart to have me on your prestigious show. I love it, and I like. So this is like because you're breaking in the new studio with me. I like that. I feel honored.
Yeah.
So
First
a little
one.
bit of history. There you go.
I've got to give a shout out to our dear friend Sam Shadow, who helped me work out some kinks along the way. Same with Jill. I've recorded some episodes, just recording and trying to work out live streaming. So this is the first public one. So
wonderful.
Yeah, in the new studio.
I like it. Takes me back. I like the big R.
Yeah, I've actually, you know what that's from is Independent Publishing Resource Center in Portland. They were going out of business, and that was part of their sign, IPRC. So it's where I used to make zines, like a little, hipster asshole that I was.
Oh, absolutely. You want my zine? Sure, I do. No, I don't.
What's that Mitch Hedberg joke? What's that Mitch Hedberg joke? Thank you for giving me something to throw away.
Like, oh, absolutely.
Hey, you want to throw this away? Yeah. I mentioned though, I came to you a bit later in your YouTube career and like what your trajectory was in the past 5 years or so. Right. But something you always kept bringing up that I've never really had a full grasp about, and I've always wanted to just genuinely ask you, was your praxis of Well Chanting and what your name is from.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really the whole YouTube shenanigans. One of the most hysterical things about it was, and it's, the truth about you comes out online. You know what I mean? Whoever you are, like, oh, it's a mask, it's a sack account. No. The you that you choose, is becomes the true expression. So the purpose of this entire YouTube channel, the CW Chanter YouTube channel, was over the years, I had been, a seeker, and I had been fascinated. It wasn't like a choice. It was just something that I was drawn to. I was drawn to spirituality, religion, faith, beliefs, religious practices, new religious movements, cults, the history of cults, from Mormonism to Charles Manson and everything in between. And I was really fascinated with the notion of, this compulsion to want to participate. And I had joined up with a whole bunch of different organizations and groups, tried on a lot of different proverbial hats and a lot of different proverbial practices. And just none of them were ever the whole enchilada. There was too much cognitive dissonance. I was expected to accept a whole bunch of belief systems that were antithetical to things that I honestly felt were true and accurate. cultural differences, a whole bunch of different things. And so what ended up happening and evolving over time was, and it's weird, it's a combination platter. So like these things, Commonwealth chanting ended up becoming a thing where it was just basically a syncretic religion that I came up with, myself, that was just based on kind of reverse engineering all the religion and, spirituality that I'd been exposed to and experienced, and basically saying to myself at some point, like, look, you know what I mean? You're killing yourself. You need some sort of structure here. You need some sort of North Star. You need some sort of self-guidance. You need, an established practice if you're going to make any sort of progress here. None of these things have so far fit the bill. So what are we going to do about it? And that was it, and I'm going to be, I'm very honest with people, and being honest with this aspect of it has shot me in the foot and has provided my detractors with ammunition.
Yeah.
I will be completely honest that at points in my development, I was less spiritually inclined. I was less, authentically, trying to be the best person I could be. I had flirted with things like Satanism. I do have certain narcissistic tendencies, and so there
Who
were
doesn't?
parts in the evolution of Commonwealth chanting that did touch upon me saying, like, this cult leader thing seems like a great awesome bag. You know what I mean? Look at what Adi does. Sit on a big chair. People treat you like $1,000,000. The dudes give you money and the chicks give you head. Let's do that. And over time, slowly, I realized, like, no, and I let a lot of that stuff go, and a lot of that stuff happened before I came out with Commonwealth chanting and shared it with the world. It was something that I was doing.
Right.
I chant every day and I read a spiritual text every day. I meditate upon these things. I think about these things deeply. And the evolution, came forward till eventually I got to this point where I had formulated it. I knew what it was. I had written it down 10 different times. I had it down and I made a commitment. I said, this is it. And part of what it is a commitment to say, this is it. And the whole part of it is, one of the main points of it is this. One of the key inspirations was the US Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
The US Constitution runs to 12 to 15 pages, depending on font size. The EU
Short and simple.
Constitution is thousands of pages long. Complexity does not help people
Yeah.
understand what they're being asked to join or what they're asked to, endorse as a social contract. So the whole point of Commonwealth Champion is I can tell someone basically what it is in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes if we stretch it out. I can give you an 11-page PDF document that basically says the whole thing from soup to nuts, from
Right.
personal practice to organizational structure to group practice. It's all there. And when the whole point is to tell people, if you wanted to do this, part of the social contract, part of the social bond is to say, one of the key commitments that I make to you is I am closing the door on the possibility of me, L. Ron, Hubbarding it.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? You come out with Dianetics. Dianetics is a hit. People are getting something out of it. You're loving it. And then all of a sudden, you start coming up with some new stuff. And you start having all these rules. And then there's all these different edicts and plans. And before you know it, it's esoteric. It's a cult. It's obscured. And it turns into bad juju. So the thing is locked. And I say to people, I said, this is what it is. And people in the early days when I first started telling people about it, they would, give you notes. And I'd be like, I don't care if you don't want to publish my document. I quite frankly, I don't care if you don't want to join. I said, but I'm not looking for notes here. It's this is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a personal practice. It started off as a personal practice. I codified it, as best as I could. I've talked about it several times, but where I'm kind of headed with this, I apologize to you in the audience, and this will be a test of you as an interviewer, because you've watched my videos. I start over in Wrigley Field, and
Right.
before you know it, we turn around and be like, how the fuck did we end up in Giant Stadium?
Yeah. The train of
You know
thought
what I
is fun.
mean?
Yeah.
So let me simplify one thing. So let's see this. I started the YouTube channel in order to explore my spiritual beliefs, my spiritual practices, and my thoughts and beliefs on same, especially in the what I refer to as the New Age diaspora. Shortly after starting my channel with that glorious, beautiful white light,
Mm-hmm.
pure-hearted intent,
Peace
I
and
got
love.
pissed off because people weren't paying attention to me. I uploaded a video to YouTube in the foolish belief that if other videos about this subject matter got 5,000 or 50,000 views over the course of 15 years or whatever, 10 years, then clearly my videos are supposed to do probably about as well within a month of being added. It was ignorance of how YouTube worked. It was
Sure.
ignorance of what it takes.
Yeah.
So I got pissed off. There was one particular guy who was, I thought he was a quote unquote big deal at the time, but that was because I was narrowly focused on a very, very small community of people that I just was tuned into. Project Camelot, the Project Avalon Forum, what have you, and the kind of the soup du jour, like a predecessor to Corey Good, was this guy that almost had Corey Good's job with David Wilcock, and what that guy's name was Shane and I called him Shane
Mhm.
the fucking Ruiner. And
Oh,
because
right. Yeah.
he had this blog that God bless him. This is how crazy this scene is.
Was he a
He was,
Gaia person?
he wasn't. This is before
Okay.
David. This is Jay Widener. This is back in the day. This is
Right.
2014. David Wilcock already had a show on the nascent Gaia channel, and he was doing, sacred research and the history of like little sacred knowledge teachings or whatever
Sure.
they were. Jay Widener started to explore with him the concept of having a show based around these, I think, the secret space program and so-called secret space program whistleblowers. David Wilcock had connections to a guy called Bill Ryan, who
Hmm.
was running the Project Avalon Forum that was formerly, he was a former business partner and paramour of Kerry
Right.
Cassidy of Project Camelot. So over at Project Avalon, there were a couple of people kind of banging around that might have been candidates for David Wilcock's, talent search. One of them was Simon Parks. One of them was Corey Good, at that point going under a different name. And one of them was Shane the Ruiner. Now, this is
Mhm.
based on anecdotal conversations and hearsay
I know
with
about
people.
the
Yeah,
cribbing of Project Avalon
yeah,
forum
so
stories.
all those allegations happened on David Wilcock had originally tapped Shane the Ruiner, and Shane, to his credit, said, "I'm not going on national TV saying this stuff. It's one thing to write a friggin' blog, and I'm speaking out of turn, and I'm speaking for people. And a lot of these conversations a lot of this information that I'm drawing on was third hand, sometimes hearsay information, sometimes right from the horse's mouth from people who may or may not have had a personal horse in the race. And a lot of these conversations took place 5 years ago. But what I
Right.
do know is that Shane had affirmed to me that he was in talks with David Wilcock to do that show, and said, and at what point, and that around that point, Corey Good had kind of come into the scene. And Corey Good at that point was in radio contact with Shane, and bragging about how he and David were out in LA, where David lived at the time. They were eating sushi every night and, living this, kind of exciting
So
lifestyle or
you're
whatever.
watching that as someone that started this channel to do
Right.
this
So
like love and light language, and this pisses you off.
and this
Go
pisses
in.
me off because
Yeah.
I am giving authentic, awesome, great information. And this Ruiner blog, Keats, you should have seen this fucking. Can I curse? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm
Yeah, of course.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this stuff was like the first time you meet a reptilian queen, you're not prepared. But when her icy gaze locks with yours, you say to yourself, "Well, there's no turning back now." As the trap door beneath me opened up and the stairs led down, she said to me in an icy voice that sent shivers up my spine, "I hope you're ready to leave the old world behind."
It's just bad
Like it was
fiction.
just like it
It's
was like,
bad
you know what I
fiction.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, the night was dark.
Right.
The first time I met Sasquatch, I mean, it was ridiculous, but people were talking about it and it was getting praise all over Facebook. So I came out and I was like, I read the whole friggin' blog. I came out and I said, Shane the Ruiner is a douchebag,
Hmm.
bozo deluxe. Let me tell you why. And I tore into him. I was like, this is stupid. And it was basically the classic CW Chanter content that everybody loved was born. But
Right.
that wasn't what the intent was.
I was
If
gonna
you
say,
look
are
at
you
my intro
comfortable?
video on
Yeah.
YouTube, it's all like, "Hi, I'm CW Chanter, and I
Yeah.
welcome you and thank you for coming to this
Are you
space."
comfortable with this change? Like, has it become a
It
genesis of
it
finding
is
yourself within this? Like, is that
I tell people when YouTube is a crucible, any activity engaged in is the labyrinth,
Right.
is the crucible, is the where you will learn about yourself. And if people have followed my trajectory, right, my YouTube channel was started on my 40th birthday as a gift to myself
Mm.
in order to explore spirituality, honesty, integrity,
That like
theology,
the
and
Alan
cosmology.
Moore, I'm gonna
The
be a
whole,
magician when I'm 40
right? And
situation.
the whole
Yeah.
like, hey, how you doing? Welcome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thoughts, and it's not about telling you that you're wrong. It's about sharing with you what I might think is, if not right,
Ooh, I'm
just resonates
teetering.
with me as
I'm still
true. Right.
teetering.
And then within 30 seconds of being ignored by the internet, watching Shane the Ruiner get like retweeted by like 15 people, I was like, y'all are dubbing wrong. And let me
Mhm.
tell you something. And then, of course, and here's where it gets hysterical. One of the first people to comment on that Shane the Ruiner video was Corey Good.
Ah,
Corey Good reached out and said, yo, you probably think that my stuff is as ridiculous as Shane's, but I just want to let you know that blah, blah, blah. Good. It's a good thing that you went after Shane. And then I was like, and then the great thing is that Shane is like Corey Good's complete opposite. When I tore into Shane and said, this whole thing's ridiculous, he was like, hey, saw the video you made about me. Way to go. And I reached out to him. I'm
oh
like,
wow.
you should come on my show. And he was the first interview on my channel.
Yeah.
He was the first interview on my channel, and he handled it, and we became friends.
You know
We
the
became
reason
fast
why
friends.
in this past couple years I've dived deep. I wouldn't consider you in the debunker sphere, but
Right.
that is a part of like where you're from. But there's like an enigmatic kind of agnosticism with a lot of the things too. It's almost like a very delineated, I know it's bullshit, but hey, there's something here on the other end,
Oh,
right?
with that, without a doubt. And then part of the thing that gets tough is that the YouTube paradigm is set up like almost all other publishing paradigms.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the work, and the work is expected to tell you in some way, shape, or form what it is so that people can know whether it's attractive to them, whether it's something that agrees with them or disagrees with them. And because I am trying my best to be 100% authentic, which means that I'm trying not to be mediated and I'm trying to not downplay contradictions and I'm not trying to act as though or commit to one side or the other, but I'm allowing people to know that I am in flux,
Right.
which is what I think is the natural state of affairs. It becomes very difficult because there are people. So there's 10 people on my
Agnosticism doesn't
channel.
sell tickets. Absolutism does.
No, absolutely. You're 100% right. So I have like, it's a constant struggle of if I start making this sort of content or that sort of content, or if I express one way or the other, people will, I say it all the time. When a person becomes a fast fan, and this happens frequently, someone sends me an email, yo, man, yo, man, yo, man, where you been all my life? I just binge watched your last 5 videos and I can't get enough. I'm telling my friends about you. Yo, new Patreon supporter, new subscriber. You're great. You're
Quick
awesome.
turnaround.
Heard you mention the Misfits. Wow, you're from New Jersey too? The minute, the higher the praise, the more the love is, I say to myself, the quicker it's going to turn into like sometimes it's just the second or third email. Yo, yo, yo. What are you? What kind of deceptive bastard are you? Are you crazy? Are you legit crazy? Your
Yeah.
last video, man, I can't even I can't even recognize the guy that I first started watching. Meanwhile, they started watching like 2 weeks ago. Yo, unsubscribed.
Oh, I've
Listen
seen
to
this time and
hell,
time again.
sir. You know what I mean?
Especially in circles that we kind of permeate in. I've seen that flip. I think like
Oh,
they can't hold on to the persona, of what they think they want from you. And so
absolutely.
the minute that you're like, "Oh, I'm going to pull out a tarot card." Fuck you.
Oh, you and that's the other thing. It can come out of nowhere, and it's like, what happens a lot is that, like, so I've been here on YouTube. We're approaching 6 years.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that people come in, and it's like there's been a whole history, and I've explained a lot of this stuff. We've been through this journey. If you come in at year 6, and you haven't, and you can't square the circle of CW Chanter believes in the value of faith and spirituality, and at the same time has marked atheistic tendencies and thinks that a rational, scientific-based worldview is a good tool in order to avoid
Is a
deception.
pragmatist.
Yeah, there are people that come in late, and I'm like, we are not relitigating this issue.
No.
You know what I mean? And the other things, like I said about the different types of fans who like the different types of content. I come on constantly, and I'm like, I cannot play you guys man for man.
Right.
I am not going to be able to mediate and monitor my content in order to please everybody, because you guys run a total gamut. There are people that the minute I do one of the so-called debunking videos where I'm critiquing and criticizing David Wilcock, Corey Good, Simon Parks, whoever, people are like, yeah,
Nom
this
nom
is the
nom.
CW Chanter content I love. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, so I watched 2 hours of Simon Parks this week. That's my limit. So now we're going to talk about something that's personal to me, whether it's, discussing the merits of channeling information, whether it's just doing a tarot card show, whether it's doing hashtag no new music, whether it's talking about nostalgia loops. And there are plenty of people who are like, oh man, this one again. And it's like, yeah, this one again. We're not doing
You
this.
do it 5 days a week. There's going to be
Right.
some ones that you're not.
The person that pops up in the live chat, or the person that pops up on my email, and they're basically taking it personal, or they don't like something that I did. Like I had like this happens like once a month. I get an email from somebody, and it's like I said about the people that flip flop. It'll be someone who'll say, I was, your Patreon at $25 a month. I got a lot out of your content, but the latest stuff, 2 videos in a row where you're taking your shirt off and making striptease jokes, unsubscribed, not following you on Patreon no more.
Yeah.
You disappointed me personally. Right. And I really think you need to think about what you're doing with your life.
Oh my God.
And it's like, yo, like, and I used to, back in the day, when when you first started, you got 10 subscribers, 15 subscribers, the subscribers by name, the people, you can recognize. So subscriber number 13 starts saying like, I don't know, I'm writing back to them.
I've come into it, I've
Yeah.
had guests on here, I don't agree with a lot of their views sometimes, but that's not the reason why I'm talking to them, or not those specific views.
Right.
I've had Thomas Sheridan on twice, and people throw a fucking shit fit about Thomas Sheridan. And I get that, like, he's a bit of a provocateur, in certain areas. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not talking to him about, politics or but it's like, it's just very otherworldly things that I bring him on for. But people can't look past, what their own inclinations to someone has already been. And so it's just that person all the time. And that's not how people work. They're multifaceted. They're all sorts of different things. That said, though, I am weary of platforming certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
have you like come across, it's like there is some shit I just don't want to talk about, even though I might be passionate
what I'm
about
learning
it.
more and more is that like, people like I used to do interviews with people, and I stopped doing them, and I also used to do huge group live chats.
Right.
I tend not to do that anymore. People are like, why? I'm like, because that opens the door to everything becoming personal. And that opens the door to all sorts of questions that I can't mitigate and deal with regarding platforming. Like you said, like you have Thomas Sheridan on to talk about the stair steps and the Necronomicon, or the
hexing,
history of the little people on the aisle. And people want to talk about the fact that you had some guy on who had positive things to say about Donald Trump in 2016 or whatever. And I get it, because I'm one of those people. You mentioned Thomas Sheridan, and I'm like, well, that guy's a dick.
Yeah, well,
I don't like him personally. But the point is this, is that, so the reason that I kind of tended to go away from those interviews is because it gets too complicated, and then it gets diluted.
I think that too, though, there's an intent. I do love what Thomas says about certain things, and that's why I do the podcast. This is basically my like way to learn. It's a grift in the way of like, I can't afford proper education, so here I'll do a podcast to talk to people that I can actually artists or thinkers or whatever to learn from, one on
Right.
one. You get a promotion out of it, and I get to, relish in any wisdom that I get.
And he's
But
and he's and he's got and that not to make it all about Thomas Sheridan, but
sure.
Thomas Sheridan. So for example, like I my gnosis and knowledge of Thomas Sheridan involves two things. Number one, I believe that he's legitimately established, to my mind, the fact that he's dedicated himself to doing years and years and years of research
Yeah.
into the history of the occult and the history of craft, and especially in the British Isles. Full
Mm-hmm.
stop.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I know about him is that he tended in 2016, when I was a subscriber to him. All of a sudden, I noticed that those videos about the meanings of tarot cards basically disappeared, and he just kept on talking about social justice warriors and Donald Trump. At which
Sure.
point I said, "That's not why I'm subscribed to you."
Yeah.
And so, and I made the choice that we just talked about, in the context of people making that choice vis-a-vis me,
You're
or
right.
maybe
Yeah,
you.
that's what I was
People
just
join
gonna say.
up, they subscribe,
Mhm.
you make content, they watch at their leisure. I still, to this day, there's aspects of me that are fully clear, and there's aspects of me that still need work. And so there's plenty of times where I kvetch and I complain about the fact that if I do a video about Simon Parks or David Wilcock, there'll be 70 people in the live chat. And if I do a video about, like, me, my feelings, and the state of affairs of, should I get a new cat, it's half those views. And I'll be like, why the fuck are people watching the dumb videos that suck? And why aren't they watching the good videos that are awesome?
I
But
mean,
that
this is brutal. This is brutal to me, especially as, a creator in many different mediums. Like, I remember having the, revelatory moment where I was like aghast that if I post about something I created from nothing, it gets nothing. If I
uh-huh.
post my face or my girlfriend's face, it gets, triple like what anything would. And it's just like this vapid, culture. I don't know. And I see that like permeating and why you switched from Commonwealth, because yeah, that's gotta burn some ire in you to see people that don't deserve really
That's
to be
that's
heard,
and
get
but
so
then,
much.
it's like, so we try and find out where what's coming out. So the CW, the angry CW chanter, comes out, but that's
Yeah,
the real CW chanter. The first guy was the mask. There was not that guy. That guy was a sales pitch, like Lou Reed and John Cale joined,
sure.
wearing beetle monkey suits in order to, like,
Right. Under
get
Andy
on, the
Warhol.
Dick
Yeah.
Clark show. That's not what's happening inside. And eventually the truth comes out, and the truth that came out did this thing.
Are you
And
telling me that you're essentially Metal Machine music?
oh, without a doubt. But you know what I mean? But I'm not, but you know what? You know what I am? I am Metal Machine Music, who deeply desires and strongly so wants to be Coney Island Baby.
Oh,
You know
for
what I'm saying?
sure. Yeah. I
Yeah,
get you.
absolutely. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, yeah, or you know what I mean? Or to pinch New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible.
Secretly listening to that all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then all that ends up coming out is Metal Machine Music.
Right.
But without doing the Metal Machine Music, without doing the full on Shane tirade and then following up and doing all the videos about other people, no one would have ever seen any of the videos about Commonwealth chanting.
I know.
And
And
no one
that's,
would have been
I've
exposed
got to
to any of the
say,
other
like,
stuff.
my first introduction to you, and I think I'm gonna blame Stevie Seyrath the Mage for pretty much everyone that I know on YouTube,
That's how it
because
starts. It's all
I think
networking
he
and
was
nodes.
my gateway to meeting this community, and he's, very close, still a close brother to me. I love him very much. But
Good.
I think he mentioned you in something, or there was some cross pollination, and it was a video about you against ascension programs. And I was in a place where I was like full blown anarchic magic, fuck traditionalism. I'm not subscribing to anything. I can't get heads or tails among, like even creating We the Hollowed, which is an art, collective that's like metaphysically minded. It was just like, I
Done.
fucking can't, if it's not super individualistic, I don't see working with anyone. And I hated the fact that there was so much out there about, paying big money to ascend. And
Oh,
you said in this video, and this was a couple years ago now, I'll never forget it, but it was you're basically like, the wisdom's all there. Like, you're a fucking idiot if you need to pay that money for a shortcut. It's all available. We live in the internet age. You can
Sure,
find it. And I was like,
sure.
yeah. But like, that's how I got into you. And so there was always that thread where, to be honest, when you're talking about how people watch you in different scapes, I do that too. I'm not so familiar with, the UFO community, because like, I've never been good with it, right? But like, you speak about it, I'll be like, okay, cool. I'll check in later or something. You know what I mean? But that's the beauty of you, because you can reach back into other things. And I was bummed that, you don't speak about Commonwealth chanting enough. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
the funny thing about not speaking about Commonwealth champion enough was, well, number one, like, there is this kind of this give and take, about, trying to, deaden people, and then also there's an understanding and familiarity with the fact that, look, I'm going to be completely honest, my numbers are so consistent, I
Right.
can pretty much safely say that I know and understand that even if I don't know people necessarily by name, even if they don't identify themselves in the live chat, or they're subscribed or unsubscribed, or whatever the case may be, I know that there's very few new people coming in. So at this point, it's kind of like when I pick up and just read from the 11-page, Commonwealth chanting document, which is not the only, the absolutist, most, formal recitation of it.
Right.
Commonwealth chanting, there's several different videos that go through the whole thing, soup to nuts. It's not about these specific words or what it is. It's about the key concepts in play. Most people have already been exposed and know about it. And I know, who has affirmed to me that they, practice it consistently, or they're influenced by it, or they took it on board, or some aspects of it on board. So part of the reason I don't talk about it is there really a need, because there's such a consistency of the audience. I think people have been pointed to and are aware of what's going on there. And, the other thing is this, is that, I practice. So, like, even though I'm aware of the fact that I practiced, that I don't talk about Commonwealth chanting often necessarily, and that not talking about it often, with the exception of occasionally ripping out the document and just hitting a random
Right. When
passage.
you mention it, my whiskers go up,
Right,
because we both have created, I keep using the term anarchic, because it's just, our own kind of individualistic
right.
praxis or whatever. But like, anytime you mentioned it, I'd be like, holy shit, what's up with that? You know, like,
But the other thing is this: is I tell you, Keith, I'll send you the PDF.
I would
You know
love
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
I tell people, like, you want to read. It's not going to take you an hour and a day. But
Right.
so the funny thing is that the more that Commonwealth chanting became a key aspect, a real key aspect of my life, and took more and more importance as we were going through. We talked about this crucible of YouTube. Oh, during the course of YouTube, over the last going on 6 years, I started off as a full-time attorney with a robust practice that was killing me. Was not soul affirming, life affirming at all. I was married, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And and all these various other things. And over the course of time, where you find me now is I'm divorced. My practice went from a full-time support staff of 4 to a full-time support staff of May, but I'm happier than I've ever been. And these various things have happened. So through this transformation, Commonwealth chanting became more and more a real key thing to me, and it became less about promoting it to people than practicing it myself. The key practice of
I see.
Commonwealth chanting and how it's expressed in my life, I spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours involved in the personal practice of Commonwealth chanting.
Yeah.
Okay, daily. So it's gotten very deep. So by the time I get to making a video, I'm satiated and I'm satisfied, and I've run through a whole gamut of personal exploration and experience with it. And there's not really much, more that I feel that I need from it. So it ends up kind of being regulated to a thing where it's like, I don't need to, to tell I'll read the piece of poetry to the class, but I don't necessarily need to tell you,
And it's
who
like,
the woman is.
you don't need them to charge your personal,
Right, right.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've gone through that too, and it's funny because who needs another fucking magic book, or who needs another, you know what I mean? And but at the same time, when you're creating your own personal one, it's fun to jot about, or speak of, but there's too many, like I'm not into how to's, you know. I figure like an 11-page PDF document would say as much as you need, and how
and
to get started with it.
and that's the other part of the reason I don't talk about it is because at a certain point, like I make about, on average, I probably make one or two Commonwealth chanting videos specifically, and they always come up the same way. I'm reminded through some accident of nature that I'm supposed to be talking, that this channel is supposed to be talking about Commonwealth chanting. So I come back and my main notebooks or the 11-page document are just, it's all memorized,
Mhm.
and I'll just blurt it and I'll just do it. And it'll be a 15-minute video, it'll be a 25-minute video, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. And then it's like, I did it. One of the strangest things for me about YouTube was when it evolved from being you upload a video to YouTube to this live interaction, live chat, live streaming paradigm. One of the things that has always been interesting to me is this notion of that, are we making a video that's supposed to be like a newspaper article that's relevant just for today, and the
Right.
newspaper is wrapping fish tomorrow,
Combustible,
or are we making like some sort of document that we think is going to be
timeless.
consistently
Yeah.
referred to? So
Yeah.
when I've made the one or two videos, in a year's time specifically about Commonwealth chanting, it's like, do I need to say it again? And there's parts of me that are reminded that in this live streaming thing, it's not about what Howard Stern did 2.5 weeks ago. What Howard Stern did 2.5 weeks ago is gone. It's in the ether. He's going
Right.
to do the same thing today that he did 2.5 weeks ago, that he did 20 years ago, that he did 12 weeks ago, 12 years ago, 3 years ago. It's the same thing, but it's happening in the now. And
Yeah.
like repetition of brand names, there's part of me that knows and understands that. That's
And
where I
it
started doing the just reading a random part of the 11-page document,
it
was
is
just by
documented,
just by
right?
like exposure.
Yeah.
You're all gonna watch me talk about David Wilcock, and then I'm gonna give you this paragraph completely out of context, and you're gonna be like, what? Or you're not gonna think about it, you're gonna scratch your ass, or look at the live chat and talk about, yeah, that guy's a joker, whatever the case may be. But over time, you will have heard the 11-page document over
Sure.
enough
Yeah.
times where it's in your head or something.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I
That's
well
the other
I
thing about anarchic religious and magical practices. We all know it works,
mm,
but does it really? You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
what are we
Yeah,
doing here?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Genesis George.
my whole thing is, trying to I'm trying to put scope on my experiences in the past, or things that have worked, and continuously educate myself on. I think when people are so obsessed with the idea if it works or not, they're missing the point.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
it's about the practice.
right. It's about the journey. Yeah.
It's
To
about,
be a goofy
whether it's
idiot about
whether
it.
it's
But
sanding whether it's raking the sand garden, the rock garden,
sure.
or polishing the wood, or chanting the chant, or reading the book, or
Mhm.
exploring the history, or whatever, or trying to time travel. It's the practice. The path is the goal. The
Yes.
path is the
Yeah.
goal, because in that journey, in that doing, it will be revealed to you, including as being presented with the fundamental question: are you wasting your effing time?
Doing
Like,
it.
how much have I invested in? So like, here's a teachable moment that I think we can both relate to as dark music fans. Genesis George.
Oh
Back
yes.
in the day when I was doing tons and tons and tons of things, I thought the Genesis George was like knowledge incarnate.
Oh yeah.
and
I've
and
had
he
that
said,
phase.
and for years and years and years, I was working with sampled music based on the teachings of Genesis George, where he had said in an issue of, I believe it was Mondo 2000,
Oh,
right back in
I
the
grew
day,
up with that
right?
book,
So
or
this has
that
got this is like,
magazine.
it's 1996, and
Hmm.
my friend Adam has joined the U.S. Army. We're going to go out and celebrate his journey off to seas, by me and him and our other best friend are going to go out to Sedona, Arizona by Amtrak train. And one of the things that I had with me was in this issue of Mondo 2000, where there was a brief little article or blurb by Genesis George. And one of the things that he said in there was, if you sample a given sound or piece of music, you have taken a holographic aspect or image of
Sure.
it, and every time you recapitulate or use it in a new form, you're
It
putting all of that
transforms.
holographic energy into it. He's like, if you sample John Lennon's guitar hit on,
Right.
I Am the Walrus or whatever,
Instant
then
karma.
whenever
Yeah.
you do it, whether it's subconsciously buried in the mix, stretched out to 10 times, you're getting all of that is happening. And then years later, I reflected upon that and I said, that is a really cool, awesome, interesting thing to say.
Yeah.
Is
Like an
it
additive
true?
charge. You
But but
know.
but is it true? If I sample John Lennon's guitar, flip it backwards, and play it an octave down, is it really having some sort of holographic effect that's distinguishable, fundamentally distinguishable, than from if I did that, took the same C major chord, but from an Air Supply record, flipped it backwards and played it 2 octaves down to a disco
Sure.
house beat? Does it really? Or is that just something
I
that
think
we say?
for the creator it does. I think that for the creator it holds some intentional weight to it
Right, but
because they know where it's from,
the
you know.
teaching was not that it was for the creator. The teaching
No,
was,
not for the creator of the
yeah.
sample,
So
creator of the new art. Yeah.
Genesis George, Aleister Crowley,
Mm-hmm.
A.E. White, um, Austin Osman Spare, whatever.
Sure.
Pick a guy. Helena Blavatsky. Pick a teaching. Pick John D. Pick a teaching. Pick a statement. A life is Levy. Whatever. Pick a teaching. Pick a statement. Just because they said it doesn't mean that it's true.
Sure.
And there are so many people who go around acting as if, Aleister Crowley in specific,
Yep.
if they spend years and years researching everything that Aleister Crowley said about X, Y, and Z, then they are doing something really fundamentally important, as if the writings of Aleister Crowley were the equivalent of Feynman's teachings on quantum physics or
Mm-hmm.
Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. Maybe, maybe not. What you've really studied is the history of writings that took place, over the course of a period of time.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
it's funny too, because like if you look at, I talked to Phil Hine, the progenitor of chaos magic
sure,
and
sure.
his, back and forth with it over time. There hasn't been someone that's, written extensively about it's become a uniform. I don't feel it anymore to, oh, it can be something else. And it's flip-flopping on it because he's in this consistent genesis of like what it means.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. And here's the thing. There are many people that will put on the uniform,
Mm-hmm.
buy the accoutrement off Bell Book and Candle off Amazon, right? Be able to recite the rites, do the a kick ass, lower ritual of the banishing ritual of the lower pentagram, whatever the case may be. Pick your thing, and it's whatever. And then there's other people that are going to think more deeply about it. It's like,
Right.
and this is in every religious tradition. If you go to any Zen monastery, the notion is not that of the 50 or so students, sitting with legs akimbo, that all of them are going to gain enlightenment in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's going to be, we're going to run this cycle of 50 kids and then 50 kids and then 50 kids and then 50 kids. And approximately every 80, 85 years, somebody's going to pop and somebody's going to really kind of get it. And then the other people are going to be doing service, chop wood, carry water, whatever the case may be, fighting about dogma and doctrine like it's the most
Sure.
important thing in the
It's like a
world,
cultural dysmorphia.
collecting the tithe, whatever the case may be. And it's just, and it doesn't need to be like that. So like when we talk about like chaos magic, for all the things that it was supposed to break, anything preserved over time,
Yeah, it becomes
tends
a
to
evil.
ossify. I
Yeah.
remember, I remember the point in which it was like we and everyone kind of gets into the same kind of moments, the same trajectories and channels,
Mm-hmm.
you know, record covers and stuff that are mediated, sold items and whatever,
Sure.
and you get turned on to it, but like there's it's quickly it becomes people are not questioning it. They could question organized religion out the wazoo, but if it's a book by Phil Hine or Peter Carroll,
Right.
they're it's just absorbed and it's like chaos magic works like this, and I'm like,
Yeah. Wait.
hold on, stop, wait.
Breaks the
The
idea.
book says, and these people are documenting and exploring and giving advice based on their experiences. But the question remains for you. It's an old adage: is
Mm-hmm.
the master wise or a fool? And that's what I had to do with you think about all this stuff. And a lot of people don't do that.
Well, I
A
think,
lot
you
of
know,
people have
too,
become dogmatic and doctrinaire about the concepts of chaos magic,
I think people
right?
deify, creators. They deify humans, and I think that's a
Hell
big
yeah, they
red
do.
flag. That's the big red flag of not having, an individualistic perspective, or even no, I'd even say the opposite, tether, like a human tether. When you put people on pedestals like that and you allow them to kind of create or construct you know your aestheticism or whatever the fuck it is,
Sure.
like you're missing out. You're missing out on the
You're not,
real, like,
yeah.
passionate part. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're just memorizing formulas. I mean, there's people, honestly, who think about the practice of ritual and ceremonial magic as kind of like, coding or following the instructions to put a piece of IKEA furniture together. The
Right.
book says if I do this, I will obtain my will, or, I will change the physical universe, whatever the case may
Right.
be.
Conform.
And then
Yeah.
they conduct the ritual from point A to point B, precisely and with precision. And it's like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Have you even really thought about my whole thing with all this ceremonial and ritual magic? It's always been, we're always starting trying to figure out, you know, um, to make change happen in accordance with one's will. Well, how do you test that? Part of the fundamental thing is you have to have a North Star and determine what your actual will is.
So I'm gonna run something by you that
Sure, sure.
I've been like meditating on for a long time, writing about it. The idea, and this goes, very much into a pragmatic, or pragmatic
Ah,
sense
you
of
kicked it there.
things
I
that
kicked it.
you know considering brain chemistry, the other, this like outside oppressor, whatever, it's genealogy, it's you know uh nature, nurture, whatever it is, like considering communing with brain chemistry as the other when it comes to these magical workings and whatnot. And yes, I'm a deep believer in like the psychological pluses of routine, ritual, and all of that. But I think when it comes down to a tangible source, albeit untangible, source to commune with something that is inner and oppressing, brain chemistry really rings to me, as somebody that has their own issues. It's always been this like lifelong journey to kind of you know square that demon. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that comes down to who we are, because
Right.
the more, look, there's fun, like this. We live at a time when there's fundamental questions being posed by at the bleeding edge of neuroscience about whether or not we have free will
Mm-hmm.
at all, or whether our free what we perceive as our free will is some sort of either accident or learned evolutionary trait, or just some sort of happenstance or after effect of what it means to have these brains. Like, so for example, people will say to me sometimes, this is not to toot my own horn, but this is to provide an example. They'll say, oh man, you're so smart, you're such a good speaker, as if like I did anything in order to be so smart or to be a good speaker.
As if you got
And
a
you
degree
would
from
never come up
speaker
to,
school.
yeah, and it's like, we are all blessed with various strengths and weaknesses, none of which we chose. like if you think also this is that because we're talking about chaos magic, we might as well get dirty with it and talk about sexual proclivities or peccadillos.
Sure.
There's a notion, there are people that say like, oh, being gay is a choice. you know who knows how it happened over time. It's like, fat chicks and fishnets, why does that do something for me? Why do I fundamentally respond on that level? It's not like I sat there and went, oh man, you know what I mean, like something like
Right.
not too edgy, like I don't want to get in trouble with the law and I don't want people like to run away from me. But like, what'll get me? What's like a good demographic? Like, I want to go for an accessible group of girls anyway, and then fat chicks and fishnet. No, it's just, you know what I mean. You're flipping through the magazine, you're going, not doing anything for me, not doing anything for me, not doing anything for me.
And then
Everybody
Shazam.
says I'm supposed to be into this Playboy model, but I see nothing here. I'm getting no hits off this. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, Sally Sue McGrathers or whatever discovered the Smiths in ninth grade, and I'm like, jackpot! Here we go. What?
Yeah.
And we didn't. I didn't choose it. And first of all, just understand that that's only one of my many. I've got more
Sure.
sexual picadillos and fetishes than like India has gods. You know what I mean? Like I've got a robust deep field
Yeah.
when it comes to what I want to think about on a Friday night when I'm staring at the ceiling.
Oh, I mean,
Anyhow,
you were talking, there's that, Spooky has a funny clip show with you, and she clipped out the one where you were discussing my comment about being raised Catholic and then Jewish.
right.
I'm like, I think to me that is like form and function or part and parcel as to why I look at religiosity and spirituality the way I do.
Well, now
Like,
oh,
you know,
sorry. Finish your thought.
oh no, yeah, I'm agreeing with you that, like, but I'm saying that there's, because of the nurture, of from whence I was raised, I was reared, as they
Right.
say. I understand the machinations of why I consider the commonalities in religions and spirituality and whatever.
Right. So now check this out. I was raised. My mother's is Puerto Rican. My father was Eastern European Jew. They had all sorts of notions and ideas of how it was going to work, having kids in these two mixed worlds. Religion was a big part of everybody's life, but it was disparate. Me and my brother became this battlefield. Christmas and Hanukkah was about, bribery, and they would bring me to church on a Sunday and they'd bring me to synagogue on the high holy days of the Jewish calendar. And I told people, I realized like by somewhere between 5 and 8 years old, I discovered that all of religion was bullshit. And I was kind of an atheist because I knew and understood. These people say they're waiting for the Messiah, but the Messiah hasn't yet come. These people are saying that Jesus is the Messiah, but then how could they
Sure.
both be true? And why is there's a God overhead where
How
these
is
two faiths
Jesus
are
the Son of
battling?
God
And
and
I'm having
God?
this anxiety over it as a child, and that's being made to happen. And so, I was born with this mindset, yet I was still fascinated by religion. I had 1,003 confirmations that all of this was just stuff that people made up. And yet, the fact that people were just making it up didn't change the fact that it was fascinating. I mean, look at the power of fiction.
Exactly.
Look at the power
Also,
of
the
fiction and
community,
books.
the community aspect for me, it was funny, like the disparity I see in how I was raised in my youth. Uh, Early part being Catholic was it was a solemn, and like I said, like it's all infecting. My nurture is infecting how I see these things, right? So,
Of
in the
course.
Catholicism it was an abusive, solemn, weird, young childhood. And then in Judaism, it was all about the community. And one of the funny anecdotes I have about the difference between the two, although there are many, but not a lot, if you think about it, it's that if one was to really fuck up in Catholicism, you'd be excommunicated. That means someone touched by God higher up than you are in the religion takes away how you speak to God. Whereas in Judaism, they just kick you out of the community. you know
We also have to remember is that we act as though, and we got to avoid this, is that we talk about Catholicism and Judaism, as if they are like universals. Like if you think about
Sure.
it, it's like there's between different Catholic congregations, there's
Oh,
way
a
different
C.
flavors.
Yeah.
And different Jewish communities have fun and are just they might have there's sometimes there's more difference between some Jewish communities with some other Jewish communities. There's more of a difference that you can sense and see there than you can see between some Jewish communities and some Baptist
Oh,
communities.
absolutely. It's a
You know,
potpourri, a regular
it's an absolute,
cornucopia.
and at the end of the day, it's based on individuals that you're going to encounter in all these contexts.
Mm-hmm.
The illusion is that this is one sort of solid thing. We talked about chaos magic or doing that magic or ceremonial magic to begin with as being, or even YouTube as being something that's a crucible. You know, there's two different ways to learn everything you need to about the world. One person has said. One of them is to travel throughout the world and never stop. And the other is to sit in one place and watch the world go by around you.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's many
Holy
different
shit.
ways to do it. It's not that if you experience Catholicism and dedicate yourself to Catholicism that
Oh
you're going to
yeah,
get
I
out with this
wasn't
Buddha
painting
and
a
do
broad
something else.
picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in any of these worlds, all possibilities will be manifest. All theological and cosmological questions will present themselves to the person who is dedicated to exploring life, whether they find themselves the context of where they're doing that journey in the Jehovah's Witness congregations, if that's where they love or they feel important or they feel is they're getting the juice, or whether it's in some
Sure.
sort of voodoo community in friggin' Astoria.
Yeah.
Like there it's just all about it's about your dedication to live the life and to really live it with purpose and to ask yourself
Well, I
fundamental
think there's a
questions in a
reverence to it,
respectful
right?
way.
You don't need to be a traditionalist in the sense, but there needs to be some piety or reverence about the tools of which you are working.
This is the thing about Well Chanting that I discovered. There needed to be a practice. So when I didn't have a practice and I was just one day reading this, one day reading that, one day reading the other thing, there was no ability, there was no North Star, there was no point to measure against. You couldn't figure out how far you were traveling or what kind of progress you were making because you couldn't tell where you had gone the day before. It is the consistent, committed practice that provides the touchstone or
Mm-hmm.
the screen against which you can see what's happening and the questions can arise. If every day I'm just doing some different practice or sometimes doing this, sometimes doing that, you know, there's certain fundamental questions that are never posited or never allowed to arise because it's always, well, could it just be that this is here and that's there? But if I have a consistent practice that I'm committed to, then you start like, am I wasting my time? Like, so here, let me tell you something.
Right.
We talk, another thing we talk about on my channel is a personal meditation that the end result is posited will be time travel. That there's a meditative practice, that there's a practice that one can execute to achieve time travel. It's not about whether the time travel occurs. Then that's analogous to the notion that it does not really matter in alchemy. It doesn't fucking matter whether the lead turns into gold. Alchemy is not a process to generate wealth,
Right.
gold, out of worthlessness, lead, as if lead is worthless and is worth as with gold because it's shiny and sun-like is some sort of amazing shit. It's about trying to do something. It is about exploring and experimenting and trial and error, and also the fundamental question of asking yourself, am I wasting my fucking time here?
Sure.
It starts off, and all you do is you pick a point. I'm going to do this in order to time travel. Is that a guaranteed success? No. So then what's the point of doing it? The point of doing that is it's important to do something to raise the question, am I wasting my time here? It's also important to say, I'm going to pay attention to these arbitrary, bizarro rules. Why? Because you're experiencing paying attention to rules. So if you're doing the same thing day to day, if you're doing something consistent, you have some sort of measuring point to go against to figure out where you are in the ocean and how to get back.
I got to tell you, I've been tracking animals the past few weeks to actually, teach it and guide it. And we get obsessed with staring at dirt. We get obsessed with staring at tracks in the sand or in the substrate or wherever it is, how a leaf moves in 15 minutes from where you last left it.
Right.
It's been like you caught me on a good day because I was, out in the Washington wilderness, checking out or tracking basically. And to me, it's that same principle, that sit spot, that
Sure.
meditative sense of like understanding how things are moving around you without your print in it,
No,
right?
and yeah, it's you do something, and the path. It's this is also what we talked about with the
Because that's
ascension
like that's
programs.
like
It's all there. People want
charging,
to
and
over.
then yeah, I was just gonna say that's why traditionalism I get, and there's a place for that because through the aeons, whatever, you're charging this thing, and it becomes this kind of, I wouldn't even call it linear, maybe non-linear focus generationally of people doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's
And
almost
whether
like they're
yeah,
removing themselves from it entirely and just practicing what has come before. And there's a beauty to that.
there's an absolutely like so one of the things that I do that this is not necessarily an aspect of Commonwealth chanting. This is an aspect of my personal practice that comes through or is contextualized for me in Commonwealth chanting, but it's got nothing to do with Commonwealth chanting. It's not necessary. I meditate upon the chakras. Okay.
Sure.
And when I do that, what I'm part of what I'm aware of is the fact that I am meditating on points in the body, energy points in the body. It does not matter to me whether they actually exist. What matters to me is that I'm touching points in my body that people have been touching and believing and practicing in
Right.
for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, if not thousands of years.
Yes. Yeah. I
And
get
it's
that.
not about whether or not that creates some sort of magical, metaphysical substrata of experience that can be tapped into.
Yeah.
It's about the
Non-consequential.
fact that when I die, I will know that I've spent X amount of hours doing something that other people have done. It's just this kind of weird connection that is created in concrete and be able to be perceived by me, even if it's just a perception born of historical analysis.
It's a language, right?
It's a language, it's a
Yeah.
practice. And then so there's this sort of notion of also this value of knowing that I'm doing this thing that at this point in time people all over the world are doing. It does not matter to me whether or not the root chakra really means this and is actually connected to the color red or whatever. That's not the point. The
Yeah.
point is that I'm meditating upon something, the meditation upon which is a meditation upon connection to history and other people and other
Time
practices.
travel.
And just and then the other thing about it is that at the end of the day, at the bottom line of all this stuff may be simple. We mentioned neurochemistry, whether you call it mindfulness, whether you call it yoga asanas, whether you call it meditation, whether you call it prayer, chilling the fuck out and calming down may have palliative and beneficial healing effects. And
Hmm.
all the other stuff built up around it, the ceremonial magic, the teachings of Aleister Crowley, the teachings of the Tarot, interpretations of the cards, whether you get them right or wrong, all that stuff may be ancillary. It may be an after effect. That's not the point. The point is getting to a space of calm, getting to a
Yeah.
space of ego reduction and just pure experience of life, the universe, and everything without judgment and without attachment.
To
Who knows?
listen to the dulcet tones of the earth.
Who knows? And that might be a total waste of fucking time. And when we die, we may there may be nothing after this, or there may be some sort of reincarnation, or we may get to the other side, and they
Yeah.
may say, "Hey, it was none of those things that you taught on planet Earth, but all these things you experienced and done. Now you're turned into a silver-footed, glow-in-the-dark green antelope
Sure.
because." You know what I mean?
But it's, it's the folklore that, I
It's
do
all folklore.
I get enthused about,
That's
obviously.
great.
But I catch myself, and I'm not far removed from where you are, and that's why I always, like, I had a deep appreciation for, you calling bullshit on charlatans who are obvious fucking charlatans.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you're saying, hey, these spiritual texts, like, they help, they mean something. I'm not asking you to fucking, spend $333 on an ascension course, but
Yeah.
there's something here.
Sure. And through it all, there's the people that are playing the games. So it's
Right.
like people say, like, oh, there's all sorts of justifications for why you should be able to charge for the Ascension program. What, you don't want the guy to eat? Hold on. There's absolutely nothing that says that a person cannot have gnosis about meditation or, spiritual techniques and can also work a job. There was a
Right.
guy, Sri Nisargadatta, in India, and he was a very famous teacher of Advaita.
Hmm.
And he didn't charge people money. And part of the reason he didn't need to charge people money was that his ashram was on top of his store. He sold cigarettes and liquor and chapbooks and all this crap,
My
postcards and
kind of
postage
guy.
stamps. And then at the end of the day, they would go upstairs for satsang and sing kirtan. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing.
Yeah.
David Wilcock does not need to dedicate 100% of his time. With the wonders of the internet is that David, or writing a book or whatever, David Wilcock does not. David Wilcock can do data entry, right? He can do 1,003 things. So it's not about not wanting David Wilcock to eat. It's about notion, and also the notion that the value of this stuff is $330, or that he's not. I tell people all the time, people want to sign up to these courses and they say to themselves, I want to sign up to this course because I want to learn this information and knowledge. I want to know about the Great Ascension. I want to know why more and more people are waking up every day. I want to know why I keep on looking at the number 1111. Bullshit. You go to this program, you experience this because you want to have the achievement. I took this course, I
Right.
learned this. You also just want fundamentally community. I went to that Contact in the Desert thing in 2019, and I can tell you that yes, people were fascinated by the subject matter. The reason people went there was because they were part of a quasi religious spiritual community that had no name, had no regular meeting place, had no consistent community locally where they were from. So they would go to this Contact in the Desert thing and they would experience some sort of connection. The other dirty little secret is the reason why a lot of these people pay for the Hay House Tarot reading symposium, why they try to become certified as a fourth level Reiki instructor,
Right.
why they take this ascension course or that ascension course or whatever, is because they're waiting for their turn. They're
Can
waiting
I
for their turn in the seat, in the hot seat.
can
They're
I
waiting for
ask
their
you
turn to be guru.
a
They're
kind of a
waiting for
deep
their turn to
question, and
charge
I'll let
someone
you.
else $200 for a tarot reading.
You're right. Can I,
Absolutely.
can I ask you? It's a sort of it's a banger of a question. I'll let you have the floor with it. Is there a part of you that thinks there's a preaching to the choir or echo chamber that, speaking against these people is not really turning the ones that need to know, but maybe invigorating them to go to the other side?
I don't think there's anything that's invigorating them to go to the other side, and I don't think anyone's exposed to what I do, and it makes them double down on Wilcock or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
What I do think is this: the people that seem to get the most out of me, quote unquote, debunking or criticizing or critiquing people of these spiritual charlatans, wherever how you ever want to characterize them, are people that already knew and understood and felt fundamentally that way about those people.
Right.
Yes, there are
Yeah.
people occasionally who pop up and say, I was a devotee or I was a follower of this person, that person. Then I was exposed to your stuff and it made me think the other way. That's a minority of people. The majority of people say essentially the same thing. Man, oh wow, I thought this all the time, and it's great to hear you say to me what I already believe and know and understand. And a lot of that comes down to the parasocial relationship aspect of YouTube. No, not that many people are really interested in Simon Parks or David Wilcock. If you hate watch Simon Parks, David Wilcock, Corey Good, or whomever, you are probably in the minority of wherever community you're fundamentally part of, friends, family. Most people aren't plugged into what you're talking about or thinking about, and they just simply just don't discuss these things. So it's like going to, Friday Night Magic at the local game store. The majority of people on planet Earth don't have don't care about Magic the Gathering. They certainly don't in 2021. So you go to the place where people do, and you get something out of the fact that they're telling you things and doing things. They're not teaching you anything. You already know what it is, but
Right.
it's the other people think this way too, and like that we're battling back or something. But for the most part, I don't think it's about changing anybody's mind. I think it's just that if there's been a rallying around me, it's not that I changed anyone's mind or won people from the other side. It's that there were people that thought and felt the way that I did about these things. It's just for a variety of reasons, it wasn't in them to go to YouTube and start, shooting off about it.
Well, and to be fair, you have accrued, and everyone, if Six Sense could put CW's Patreon in the chat, our friend here has accrued $15,000 or so in attorney's fees
Yes,
because you've
absolutely.
been saying what all of us are thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and I'm not the only one. There's as time
Right.
goes on, people will learn more about the law, not only the lawsuits in America they're having against me, but there's lawsuits being brought by I'll drop a bomb if anyone's curious. Simon Parks is suing somebody in England for having the audacity of saying that he was up to no good and involved in shenanigans. And that person's in a position that's fundamentally different than mine.
Oh, and
fifteen
English
thousand
courts are
dollars not
wicked
the deal.
about libel and slander
Oh,
too.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
They want to silence the critics. They think they want the old paradigm to exist where they can just fleece people, be worshipped, be praised for saying nonsensical things, and everybody else can just not bother them, and they can just be worried about making the next dollar or whatever, again the next praise dollar, dopamine hit. They don't think that it should be allowed that people should say about them, hey, if we think fundamentally about the narrative that this person is saying, does this make any sense, assuming that there is a extra dimensional, interdimensional, higher intelligence organization and group out there that wants to do something beneficial for humanity? Does it make sense that the way that they would execute that is to find some guy with a history, a criminal history, or a history of multiple bankruptcies, and they would name him as the sole arbiter and communication point for
So I
them?
have no chance, is what you're saying.
It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And you think about this person's claims that they're a super empathetic or hyper gifted or
That
blessed
shit kills me.
spiritual person, and the way that they
Yeah.
express it is by being a dick to people on the internet. It's nuts. Or that they've experienced real life combat situations with intergalactic dimensional entities who could have crushed them out with a mind ray beam or whatever, but they can't handle the bant of someone saying things about
I've
them that are less than flattering on the internet. It's ridiculous.
I've said it. I mean, like, in the court, I think of public opinion, you've proved yourself. Oh, they've proved you right with such litigation. Like,
Oh,
why else would you bring in such, big guns to silence somebody if it wasn't true?
right. And the great thing is I got $15,000 in attorney's fees, and he didn't bring out any. Here's the thing: there are fundamental problems with the American system of jurisprudence. I don't know how to fix them. He doesn't have any big guns. His attorney she's way out of her league. And the fact of the matter is, karma's a bitch. The guy that sued me, okay, has now had countersuits brought against him by two other parties, one of which is a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Hmm.
And he's got one attorney, and they've got more attorneys than we can fit in this room. I mean, it's just nuts. So things, push comes to shove, things are going to be interesting in the lawsuit against me. But it goes to show you, even in a frivolous action, by the time you go through the steps necessary to get to the point where the frivolousness of the nature of the case can be adjudicated true or false by a magistrate judge, you've already incurred thousands and thousands of dollars of attorney's fees. And it's the only thing that you can do is you can turn it into some sort of life lesson. But the life lesson can't be that I was wrong to do X, Y, and Z. I thought there were times where I had to think to myself, holy shit, I really fucked shit up. There's
Right.
videos saying, trash about me on the internet. I've got these mounting legal fees. I shouldn't have done what I did.
Hmm.
And then I'll say to myself, wait, slow down, Kimosabe. Slow down, Kimosabe. Just because there was a negative reaction doesn't mean that you shouldn't have done what you did. I know why I do the videos that I do. And it's not to be a troll, and it's not to be nasty, and it's not to mock or make fun of. These people are taking advantage of people who are too credulous, of people who are too willing to believe. And if there's anything that I've learned about humanity, is that the reason some people are so inclined to believe the irrational and ridiculous is because they've been brought to their knees by
It's
life.
desperation.
They're
Yes.
fighting, they're fighting a fatal disease.
Hmm.
They're in dire, dire, dire financial situations. They feel disaffected. They feel hurt. They feel shat upon by life. They feel a fundamental lack of power. And these people are coming in and they're saying the same thing over again. And it's a cliche. There's an amazing savior race who are giving me all this intimate information, and they're telling me not only are there are all these teachings that we can that and be imparted to you to improve your life and to make things better, but you're also already so fundamentally perfect and the most powerful entity in the universe. You just don't realize it. And any day now, this magic flip switch is going to get flipped, and the people that are haves are going to become have nots,
Hmm.
and the people that are have nots like you are going to become haves, and all of your problems will fundamentally go away. The medical problems, med beds. The spiritual disconnect and dissatisfaction, crystalline light language, DNA activation. This fundamental world where you have to work and that's shitty and all this stuff. Don't worry, you're going to ascend to the world beyond 5D, where we're going to be pure beings of vibration and light. We'll all be experiencing fundamental love, lack of love. Your soulmate is out there somewhere on this journey through ascension. You're going to find each other and work together to achieve this great end. These stories are the fundamental stories of all religions. And just
Right.
like the fundamental stories of all religions, they can be hijacked by people who it's nature and nurture.
Hmm.
I don't know if the people that I criticized and talk about chose to do this, be the sort of person that locks into needy people and takes advantage of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It just may it's like the sociopathic narcissist. You can catch the sociopathic narcissist. You can diagnose him. You can or her. You can figure out her bullshit lies. You can find the bodies where the bodies are buried. You can lock them up in a cell. But the one thing you're never going to lock up in the cell is the person that said on a given day, here's the thing. I have a very satisfied life. I'm a very good person. I'm taking care of the people around me. But you know what? I think I'm going to be evil.
Right.
I think I think what I want to do with my life is to lie and grift and exploit and hurt. Even a person that you find that so-called enjoys hurting people, they
Yeah.
didn't choose that. They
I
didn't
think, well,
wake up
that's
one day and say, I'm going to choose to be the kind of person that likes hurting people. They're
yeah.
wired some sort of way.
That's what I
Possibly.
was saying about, communing with the other and brain chemistry. But there is
Right.
a sort of like knowing, malicious, very cognizant intent with some of these folks. It's,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's not they were wired. It's fuck. I hate to say it. It's not like they actually believe it.
Oh
You
no,
know?
no, 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 no. None of these people. Well, I think for all these people, it's a case by case basis. So there's people that I talk about that do wacky things that may be operationally innocent because they've got mental health problems or they're just not that smart. Okay. And then there's other people who are possibly narcissistic manipulators or sociopaths that know what they're doing, and certainly know that they're bullshitting the world when they say that they've had these off-world experiences, or they were part of these programs, or spoke to this given race or that given race. So there's actions that are committed, that are morally reprehensible. And I need to be wary when we're having this conversation to
Right.
say the following. I've been exposed to thinkers and workers in the field of neuroscience. I am not an expert in neuroscience. I've been exposed to philosophers and philosophies of moral and ethical value.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of any of them that have quote unquote proven in a 2 + 2 = 4 fashion what is the moral reprehensible act, whether or not free will exists or doesn't exist.
Right.
So I don't know. But what I do know is the following. It is irresponsible to know that people are being taken advantage of, and do absolutely nothing about it if you feel called to do something about it. These, when I talk about, and the guy that sued me, this guy Corey Good, I will consistently say something that I swear is true, that I know is true, that not only am I trying to help the community because what he's doing is hurting them, I'm also trying to help him because it is impossible for me to believe that lying to the world, including your family, he's got children, that lying to the world is doing anything fundamentally good for you. And whether it's in terms of you're going to be found out and caught, or you're just going to, lose your flavor of the month status, or whatever the case may be, or someone's going to go crazy or something, or whatever, or just that, that what you're saying is not true. And I don't know, for all these people, you'd have to be inside their heads to know how the calculation actually gets down, whether
Right.
they're
That's
tortured by these things, or whether they're saying, fuck it, say whatever the fuck you want about me. I'm fucking chicks, I'm smoking dope, I'm getting laid, I'm getting paid. If you think that I'm fucked up about this or have moral compulsion about this, no, I don't. I've known people in my life who were legitimate narcissistic sociopaths.
for sure.
They did not care. They cared about consequences in the sense, to the degree that consequences affected them, jail time, or, financial fines, or losing a job or whatever. But they absolutely, if you were making the argument that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing because it's wrong, they were like, fuck you. Don't you realize that you broke her heart?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you, and you're okay with that? Not only am I okay with that, I get something out of that, right? I
Hmm.
fucked her whole world up. I crashed her car, and then she got the bill. I did this and that. And you don't care about that? No, I don't care about that. I've met people like that in my life.
Yeah.
They exist. And that also goes down to, what are we trying to achieve here? Maybe the fact that we're spinning into the wind, or pissing in the proverbial ocean, but we're still doing it. We're doing something. We're on a journey. We're on a path. And when push comes to shove, we may not know that we're part of some sort of evolutionary cycle, even if the evolutionary cycle is taking place in the very, very small tide pool in the virtual news sphere of the internet.
Yeah.
There are no new big time whistleblowers like there were when I showed up on the scene in 2015. And it's not just because of me, because there's an organic sense of people. Paranormal Hood were doing their shit before I started my channel. Michael Omnieros was doing his shit before. People talking, criticizing, and critiquing nonsense New Age teachings. You can go back to the Amazing Randy. You can go back
Oh,
to
of
Penn and
course.
Teller. You can
Yeah.
go back to Umberto Eco. You can go
Bullshit.
back
Yeah.
to a whole bunch of different people that over the years have said that is some wild ass bullshit. And let me explain to you really clearly how anyone, if they really care to think about it, can know and understand this person's not really talking to the dead. This person is not demonstrating psychic powers. This person is not proving to us that UFOs and aliens exist and that they're talking to them. This person has not proved that there's a magic spaceship behind the Hale-Bopp comet that we can all get to if we just take the right amount of poison in running shoes
and Nikes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a wild and crazy world. That's a wild and crazy journey. But
do you think, because obviously you wouldn't be so emboldened as to, get slapped with a lawsuit like this shit, though? Like, did that embolden you to be louder about
no,
this?
no, no, no,
No?
no. No, if anything, it may the fundamental question that if people have been following my channel, what I do is I'm absolutely upfront and honest about everything that's going on inside my head. But that's nothing new because people have
Right.
said since middle school, Benjamin Zavodnik was born without a filter. I just was.
Yeah.
I just, let everybody can know what's going on. So the questions that I've gone through and the things that I've battled with and thought about since this whole debacle has happened, is known to the community. Should I have done what I did? Am I paying the price for doing something stupid? Was it worth it? Was it not worth it? What do I need to do? Do I need to change or transform how I'm doing or affecting these things or working on these things? Is it not safe? Is someone eventually going to flip out? All of these questions are around. None of them have emboldened me to a degree, but they have raised a series of questions and concerns and issues that we have to deal with. And I want to say something. I never thought that the jackass who sued me would sue me.
Sure.
And I've said this before. Where I really made a mistake was assuming rational acting theory based on people, which may raise the question about whether or not the person that sued me, not whether they believe their own stuff, but like I don't know, like it's just
Whether
like
they had the
it never
means
occurred to
and
me
the wherewithal.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're just that they would be because it made perfect sense to me that this person doesn't want to go into this higher sphere of where, like, because if this goes to I'm never going to settle with cocksucker. I'm never
Sure.
going to fucking settle with this jackass. I'm never going to settle, ever. It's going
Wasn't
to a jury trial.
Isn't
So look at this. Check
H3
this out.
that lawsuit? Isn't that like precedent? Wasn't there something like that? Oh, I guess it's not a content thing. It's not a
Right.
copyright
So
thing.
here's where we get down to. Eventually, this guy is betting on the fact that his attorney is going to be able to convince a jury of people who are not blue avian aficionados, who are going to be
Sure.
random working class people in Colorado, right? He's going to convince a jury of people that I was out of line to say that his story is about meeting angelic blue people or meeting, future people that are us from the future, but they're us that evolved and they're in the honeycombed earth, or that he was a member of a secret space program.
Right.
His argument is that he's going to prove that there, and then the other thing is that he's going to be able to prove that because I appeared with Cliff High or some other one else on a YouTube video together, that proved that we were part of some sort of criminal conspiracy. It's nuts. And this guy is now getting countersued by Gaia. And one of the fundamental arguments he made about me,
that's
one of the
hilarious.
fundamental arguments that this guy made about me was that I had defamed him because I accused him of quasi-criminal action, and that would be Doxgate.
Sure.
He relied in some of his moving papers on the research of Unirock, who was one of the people that worked with me to establish and prove why him and Jordan Sather were fundamentally close to the doxing of Joe from the Carolinas. Now check this out. Gaia, in their countersuit against him, lay out the whole Doxgate scenario, his involvement with this organization that was going to produce materials to critique and criticize other parties, and they put that in their counterclaim. These attorneys are not his little gal from Jabib or whatever seems like maybe just a personal family friend. These attorneys are cybercrime experts. So
funny.
What he accused me of doing, defaming him because I accused him of being involved in Doxgate. Him being involved in Doxgate is a fundamental aspect of one of their counterclaims against him. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
If they brought that counterclaim, it's because they have the evidence. These guys don't come out and say, well, C.W. Chanter, this loudmouth Jew from the fucking YouTube internet who believes in fucking channeling and he's going to save the world by telling people to chant, read religious texts. And he's also nuts. And he also has a history of drug and alcohol addiction. And he also left his wife for, another chick that he met on the internet. This genius, because he implied or that or inferred or thought that he had discovered this smoking gun evidence of this, that we're just going to use that as a counterclaim. Bull fucking shit. They wouldn't do that unless they fucking knew what was going on and what was up. The whole thing is fucking nuts. And meanwhile, every time I said that he could sue me, I said, if you want to sue me, you're going to have to sue me in New Jersey where I live, where there's jurisdiction over me. He sued me out there on this cockamamie theme. The only reason that he sued me there, is because that's one of the few states in the union that allows attorneys from other places to practice there. And he's got one fucking attorney. He's got one attorney who's an intellectual property attorney who is way out of her league. And how about this? At the end of the day, when things blow up, watch him sue her for malpractice.
Well, so check this out, and you're the lawyer, and I've always wanted to ask you this directly.
Barely.
So yeah, barely. Not your lawyer in this case, but as someone with but as someone with a lawyer, fuck, I'm just gonna stop trying to make words happen. But as someone that's going through this now, when somebody sues you, is there, when you don't settle, is there a discovery process?
Yeah, well, I mean, what will happen? So the first issue is this: is that the case that's been brought against me. The issue is, and it's frustrating for some people because they're like, "You should depose him. You should do this. You should countersue for that." No, the issue that's presented on my paperwork currently is one singular argument that you don't touch any other arguments because you're saying we're not starting the ball game because I play football and you're trying to conscript me into a baseball game. Right.
So wouldn't they have to, if this is slander or libel, I forget which one is, one's spoken, one's set or written, but
one is one and one is the other.
It's not. It's both.
No. One is, you're right. One is
okay.
One, I do the same thing. That's why I cover my bands. I just always say slander, libel, or defamation.
There you go. Okay, so wouldn't they, in the case, if it was brought to trial, wouldn't he have to back up his claims of which you were calling bullshit on?
Well, maybe, but I mean, if I provided so currently there's other people that have counterclaims against him. I don't have a counterclaim against them. I quite frankly, because I don't think this is where this shit needs to be litigated. No. My notion and understanding.
I can't wait for the judge to read that
questions about your proofs. You should be able to debate and discuss and figure those out in the court of public opinion, where you've held yourself out as a public figure and the modern day Enoch or whatever the case may be. But it's hard to say because it depends on what track you're on. But in regards to his claims against me, what he would have to prove is that his claims really aren't anything. First of all, the lawsuit is like so badly pleaded. If it was voiced correctly, phrased correctly, I'd be able to tell you what the different counts were.
Sure.
What the issues at play were and what people were going to have to do to prove or disprove the specific claims. Because of the nature of the cockamamie way that the initial complaint and the modified complaint is written, I could honestly tell you that I don't know what he's really accusing me of, other than they're accusing me of being involved. The RICO statute was designed to go after guys like Meyer Lansky. They were designed to go after mafia and criminal enterprises. The reason they've attached this lawsuit, the RICO standard to this lawsuit, is I don't think has anything to do fundamentally with the fact that they're accusing me of being involved in some sort of criminal, real, bury the body, burn down the liquor store.
Can we say
protection money?
The dark activity. Cabal.
I think it's all they got. And I think it's just this guy has said RICO so many times out loud, it's not even funny. But what is funny?
Watch The Dark Knight.
Yeah, watch this.
And learned it. Yeah.
one of its fundamental arguments is that jurisdiction can be had against me because what I did on the internet, though I didn't specifically aim at this, the effects were felt in the state where he lives, and therefore jurisdiction should be had against me. And what's so funny about that is that for months and months and months, he has been tweeting that he's brought claims against me to the New Jersey State Bar, and that he's constantly he even tweeted out an image of a UPS package that he had mailed to New Jersey. So if I wanted to, I could take his pleading papers establishing jurisdiction against me in Colorado, allegedly, and
Sure.
say, once the case is dismissed against me, okay, here you go. I'm going to sue you in New Jersey because the language and the law that you cited. I wouldn't do that because I'm not interested in ruining this guy financially. I
Well,
don't.
check. I mean, am I wrong in saying like the real creep move, the real, you know, fuck you, I'm gonna tie everything up in litigation, have you spend thousands of dollars in attorney's fees to make this possibly just be thrown away anyways? Isn't that really like his fucking punch?
I have no idea. No, because here's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like rational acting theory. Check
Sure.
this out. The rational actor would never bring this lawsuit because the rational actor would not want to bring his claims of getting donations because he's a member of the secret space program or can prove that Q is real or talks to blue angel beings. If you're running that game, you don't want to be in the real world. You
Sure.
don't want to be in a court of law. You want to be in the safe confines of the internet where you can tell your followers on the closed Facebook groups or whatever, look at these low vibration people I have to deal with. But you know what? It's okay. They're running through their own game and childhood trauma. If I've learned anything from my interactions with the Anshar, the spirit of a 1,000-year-old Native American shaman once came to me in a dream and said, I see in your heart this anxiety and this upset because of what this shithead kike on the internet is saying about you. But don't you understand that we're all shithead kikes? And what you need to do is embrace him with love. And when he sends these slings and arrows and says, your haircut is funny and you can't even come up with a good story, you take those arrows in love and you say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I laugh. My haircut is funny. I can learn from this. It's okay. You feel as though my haircut is funny. And I bring your arrows in with love, and I send arrows back to you with love. That one day we will laugh about this on the next level beyond 5D. But he can't do that because he's a schmuck. Why would he sue Gaia, a multinational corporation? Rule number one of the things that suck about life on 3D planet Earth is in lawsuits, the Indian farmer or Monsanto? The
Right.
poverty-stricken Indian farmer or Monsanto? Who's going to win?
Right.
The multinational corporation, the Scientology, or the independent reporter acting on their own?
Exactly.
Who's gonna win? Who's gonna come out on top? Who's gonna really feel the burn and who's gonna walk away smiling? Oh, it's the person with more money. Why
Yeah.
the fuck would you sue a multinational, multi-million-dollar corporation? It's idiotic. You would never, you could just run your shit where you ran your shit. But it's not about him being a rational actor because it's irrational what he's done. And
Sure.
now he's paying the consequences from it. This counterclaim, if I've got $15,000 because he brought a frivolous legal action against me in a state that's not convenient to me, that doesn't have proper jurisdiction over me, I contend and I assert. Now that he has counterclaims by not one, but two other parties that probably have more money than he does, that's problematic. That is problematic.
Hmm.
Okay? But not for
Yeah.
me. But I
Not for
don't
you.
have a
Yeah.
horse in this race because my attitude about it is I have nothing against Corey Good. I love Corey Good. But Corey Good, but my love doesn't mean that I'm going to let you do things that not only hurt the world and hurt individual people, but also hurt you. If I let you get away with crimes because you're my child and I love you, so I'm just going to let you get away with, I'm not going I'm going to help you even. That's called a codependent relationship. That's not
Sure.
good for anybody. If we're all brothers and sisters on planet Earth, then we need to have proper relationship, good boundaries, proper relationships, and weed out and get rid of codependency. So I
Yes.
can't be codependent to Corey Good and say, oh, because this, that, and I'm certainly not going
You
to say, oh,
good,
because you
boo?
sued me, I'm going to shut up. No, that's not how it
No.
works. Because I can't reward you for doing bad because that's just enforcing that mentality in you, that training in you. No, there's going to be push comes to shove, but at the end of the day, you know what I've learned? Let someone else do it. I used to get banged up and upset when
Yeah.
people would come in and do the debunking thing like I did. And at the end of the day, I say to myself, we can have our cake and eat it too. You can
Uh,
do that, and I can know that people are doing that, and then I can go talk about Well Chanting tarot cards and
sure.
why modern music sucks and
You know,
get all my subscribers go away, and that's fine.
to use tarot though as an analogy for it, I know how to read the cards. I don't go to a reader for somebody else to, like help me learn the cards. I go to that reader because I love their voice. I love the
Oh, sure,
character they
sure,
bring
sure.
to it. And I feel that's the same in the debunking community too. I'm not, even though there might be some cross pollination with stories or ideas, it's not that I want to hear one person over the other. It's that I want to hear the different, characterizations, that voice,
Oh,
that character
sure,
that comes through it. I can get 3 tarot readings in a day from friends that I love, and they'll all be distinctly different
different.
and
Yeah,
wonderful, you know.
absolutely,
Yeah. But
absolutely.
I wanted to, like, as we, start to wind down, I just wanted to make mention, not only are you slapped with this lawsuit, but your channel just recently got demonetized.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and so there's
Right?
just this never-ending godsmack, right? From
Sure.
oppressive natures. Do you have any means to I know you do a Patreon, which we've put in the chat, or Six Sense has. Thank you, Six Sense. Um, and I have it down in the description below. But have you thought about other ways to fund maybe a
You have to.
subscription service, buy me a coffee, or even just a quick PayPal donation? Are
Yeah,
there
well, I
other
got to get off
ways?
my ass. Like I tell people all the time, the time and energy and effort that I have to dedicate to this channel is often expressed in the act of making the live streams themselves.
Yeah.
So people will say like, oh, you should set up a PayPal donation button. It'll only take, moments or minutes. And first of all, for me, it won't. I've got
Mhm.
ADHD. It's going to take me a while to do these things.
I
It's
hear that.
just going to take a while. And then number two, it's like I the time that I would spend setting up the PayPal donation button would take time out of my ability to make the live stream itself. But I do think about monetization, and I do think about these never ending quote unquote Godsmacks. But like I said, here's something that I've learned over the years. Now, people might find it odd if I talk about optimistic attitudes because people might be inclined to think, based on a lot of my content, that I might have a distinct streak of
Pessimistic?
pessimism
No, I don't
and
agree with that.
cynicism in it. But here's the thing: optimists will float and pessimists will sink.
Mm.
Even if you're bullshitting yourself, if you can find the silver lining, chances are that the delusion is not going to hurt you as much as getting your soul crushed and sinking will. So, at a time that it was the least opportune time ever for my channel to get demonetized, it got demonetized. What's the silver lining? The silver lining is all of a sudden any hopes, dreams, or fantasies of being able to quit a day job and just be wacka wacka
Just
on YouTube
rant.
and the internet
Yeah.
that was finally absolutely dashed. You want to play in the band? Fantastic. Molly's pregnant. Okay. Your dad has a job opportunity. You're going to have to, relegate things to hobby. But the great thing is this, you'll have health insurance, and
Right.
the kid will have a roof over its head, and Molly will think you're $1,000,000, and your dad is going to respect you. Whatever the case may be, there's pluses and minuses, there's trade-offs. So with the channel demonetized, this question of, because before what it was that, I got to be honest, after talking shit about Simon Parks, Corey Good, David Wilcock, Kerry Cassidy, Miles Johnston, and the Randy Kramer and his mother, whatever the fuck, pick a jackass, Jay Essex,
Mm-hmm.
Abby Normal, Ivan Teller. After years of talking about these people, I came to a point where I was like, I don't want to ever watch any of these people ever again.
I mean, to be
I'm
honest,
not
that's where
getting
I'm at.
anything out of this.
Yeah.
They're saying things that aren't true, and it's not even good bullshit. It's
Right.
not even a good science fiction narrative. It is stupidity upon stupidity, and I'm sitting here watching an hour and 45 minutes of it, taking fucking notes.
I know.
Listen, hold on.
Here we go. He's going to the filing cabinet, folks.
This is just like this. Let me tell you, and when I got divorced, believe you me, this is something funny. One of the exhibits was that I had lost my total mind and like was crazy.
Really?
Was the files upon files upon files of these notes. Look at
The
this.
20 years?
This is just the notes that I took in my office, like I think in the last like maybe 2 years, right?
And this is the 20-year nostalgia loop notes, right?
Oh God, that's the only. Why do you think I'm saving them and holding on to them? Because
Yeah.
what I'm going to do at the end of 20 years is I'm just going to come back and read this stuff.
I
day for
love it. That
day,
was used
but I'm just going to
against
say
you,
it for the
though.
other thing.
That's losing your
Sidney
mind.
Powell, Simon Parks, Charlie Ward, Corey Good, writing down things about DNA and then having to write in the corner, of course, none of this stuff is true about DNA, right? Let me like just the things that I had to take notes on.
23.
Oh Christ, just like the whole, like all this stuff. Not all interviews available. Oh, just nuts. It's just nuts. And so, if I don't need to do this ever again. It's been done. You need me to tell you that Corey Good is full of fucking shit.
Of law.
You need me to tell you that Jay Essex is a distinct violent streak. You needed me to tell you that Ivan Teller's a bad channeler. I told you once. Why do you need me to tell you again? And what's really nuts, is the fact that oh my God, so there's people that come back and are like, thank you. You just made the same video you made 5 years ago. And I love that video. And I love this one even more. Keep on giving them hell, CW Chanter. And I'm like, why?
If only it was 20 years ago.
Let me play the last video that I already made about this guy. It's not that interesting. They're not coming up with new shit. If he was talking bullshit about Antarctica and beings under the earth 2 years ago, guess what he's telling you now? Same shit. Maybe a slightly different cast of characters.
I mean, that's how they do it. It's like in music, the whole thing was like,
right.
Every new audience hasn't heard this set, no matter how many times you're tired of shit of playing it.
Right.
But it's a new audience every time.
But here's the great thing for me with the channel being demonetized. I can now make whatever video that I want. And I've said, and I'm getting there. It's taken a while. It took 5 years to develop the issues, to discover the problems, to get sued, to get divorced, to do all this jazz. And it may take 5 years for the anything else to resolve. But in the resolution, what's the alchemical process that's occurring is I don't need to repeat the first stage. I don't need to get to the red dust. We've done that. I don't need to go from black to red.
To yellow.
I'm going from red to white or whatever. I forget what the heck is. I don't need to worry about the salt or this. I'm on to sulfur. We're moving on.
Yeah.
We've graduated from Spanish 101. We've conjugated the verbs. Now I'm reading, Lorca or whatever the case may be. Right? You know what I mean? I'm reading Pablo Neruda in the original.
I was gonna
Spanish,
say,
right?
yeah.
I'm learning the distinction between the Argentinian dialect and Mexico.
Chilean,
we don't need to go back unless I'm teaching like it's a TA in the 101 class. We don't need to go backwards. So it's all there. The videos are made. So anyway, so here's the deal. I've got 5,000 subscribers. I don't need to fight, or nearly 5,000 subscribers. I could give two shits about getting to 10,000, honestly.
Sure.
What I've discovered and learned is the following. I have consistent interactions with approximately between 75 and 100 people. Consistent interactions.
Mm.
If everyone goes except those 75 to 100 people, my life experience will be 100% the same.
Sure.
The rest of the people, it doesn't matter. Not that they don't matter as human beings, but to me, to my experience in daily life, it is what it is.
Yeah, you hit a limit or you hit an amount. It doesn't really matter a
Doesn't
track. Yeah.
once the desire to get a gold record fleets and leaves you behind,
Mm-hmm.
you can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah, you go for
Right?
the
It's like
brown
Guided by
record.
Voices. Once you realize that you're not going to make it as a hair metal band, you
Mm.
can just all of a sudden be like, well, I guess we're going to keep on drinking beer and making this
Yeah.
bizarro shit.
I
Whatever the
guess we're
case may
moving to
be.
Seattle.
Move to Seattle, move away from Seattle, move to Portland because it's the new Seattle. Get the fuck out of Portland because people are saying it's the new Seattle.
Ugh.
Whatever the case may be, you know, you're once you figure out that you're going to follow this path, because I mean, I tell people this all the time, and I get it, I understand. People like it. I get incensed. I get crazy. I'm reading the notes, and all of a sudden I start cursing, and my East Coast accent gets strong. And you're liking it, you're loving it, and it's entertaining, it's fun, it's all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if my heart is naturally evolving to go into this different place, I'd be a fool not to go.
For
And,
sure.
and the natural place is not to keep on talking about these guys over and over again. The natural place is to say, I'm going to, on occasion, turn on this webcam and speak.
And that thus like why YouTube has become the prime element because it's just more widely reached, right?
That's it. If
Yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, all of these platforms have have an effect, have an energy. I could say that I'm not a YouTube content creator, that I'm just a guy that happens to make content on YouTube. Bullshit. Interaction with people on live chats, subscriber numbers, view numbers, reporting to you, affecting your biochemistry,
Sure.
affecting your dopamine levels or your cortisol levels,
Mm-hmm.
losses we write. It's all in the mix.
I
And
had half a mind to call you a YouTuber in my opening remarks. Honestly, I'm just kidding.
would you be wrong to do so? Would you be
I
wrong to do?
think so. Well, I guess not. I guess the medium is the message in that sense
You
that
know what?
you reached more.
It
Yeah.
really is. YouTube is not a record label.
Right.
YouTube is an environment onto itself. There are people, I got to tell you something. The majority of time that I spend on the internet is on YouTube. I read things. If I'm going to read something, I'm going to read a book. I don't read websites.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I watch YouTube videos or I listen to YouTube videos. I'm plugged in there. My playlists, a lot of them are on YouTube for my personal enjoyment, for music
YouTube
things,
books on tape.
all that stuff. It's all there. And it is an ecosystem, and it's a weird ecosystem because it's nebulous, and we know that there's artificial intelligent entities involved. If we want to talk about, Gnostic illusions,
Mm.
think about the nature of the what do they call them,
Archons.
tulpas or whatever,
Oh
that
yeah.
have been invoked, created, and let loose. The golems, the tulpas, the Frankenstein monsters that
Mhm.
are at work that
The
fundamentally affect
egregores.
our lives,
Sure.
that get rid of channels, that delete channels, that put them on the warning block, that enforce or rules. The notion that people that have millions of subscribers literally report their frustrations with dealing with the obtuse organization that is YouTube, that not being
Right.
them, not
Shadow
being able to
banned
get
and all that.
people on
Do
the
you guys
phone.
do you think that I mean, I guess yeah, as a obviously a larger content creator as yourself, I always felt that was more of like from bigger content creators. I hate using the term content creator. It sounds so gross.
But it
But
is what it is.
um from people like claiming shadow banned. Oh, I didn't get this many views because I was shadow banned. It's like it's not just because no one wanted to watch it.
And and the other thing is this, is that though it's not the record, and not though it's certainly not a record label, and it's certainly maybe not the recording industry, though there are analogies and metaphors to be drawn to those past systems. But there is a sell by date for all content creators.
It's combustible.
Everybody has their time in the sun. Everyone, much like it's the old story. The guy has a couple of hit songs, the rapper has a couple of hit songs, and he's tooling around in a gold-plated Escalade like the party's never gonna stop. Despite the fact that if he looks back over the past 50 years of recorded music, he needs to know and understand that the likelihood that he's going to be here forever is unlikely. I mean, it's funny because I remember these guys that just a couple of years ago were treated like they were going to be deities, like they were going to be Prince or Michael Jackson or the next Madonna. Look at Lady Gaga. Oh, she's like the next Madonna, like she's like the next Madonna. No,
she's literally Madonna.
It's just replicate. Everyone has their time in the sun. I'll have my time in the sun. There's going to be a time when the people who have watched me over the course of years will say, there's a lot of people that have dedicated their lives to professional wrestling and still love professional wrestling.
Hey,
the majority of people that like professional wrestling are really dedicated for a certain period of time and they stop going. I don't go to metal shows anymore.
Yeah.
I don't go to see metal bands in concert. And that used to be a key aspect of my life. But I don't do that anymore. I've gone to enough metal shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You reach a point, and I do it with other people. I unsubscribe to people that I was subscribed to for years because at the end of the day, it's the same thing over and over again. And other things are going to happen, and life is going to happen.
Well, isn't it funny too in this age where a combustible comment, say something, I don't want to get into, I'm not going to talk broadly. I want to preface everyone here. I'm not talking about cancel culture. I'm talking specifically about the idea that it's interesting that you need to continuously make combustible content that can ruin you when basically it's just a dismovement. It's just a false start or some stupid whatever. And like that's what careers are now on this platform. That's what careers are on Twitter. It's combustible. It's like if you don't keep consistent with it, it's teeting the line because and I really don't want to talk about cancel culture, so please don't think that I'm talking about cancel culture.
Even look, on June 10th, 2021, I feel like people were acting like cancel culture.
Yeah,
I think cancel culture has had its sell by date.
It's done.
Remember SJWs?
Oh God.
SJW. No one talks about SJWs anymore. Hey,
Thankfully.
whatever happened to Pepe? Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this video just getting flagged 800 times in that last sentence of you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd be like, yes, that's how I'm gonna take out the competition. Steven Cambion, have me on your show. Fuck, N-word. And you're gone. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So there is a rubric though, I guess. Like, what did you say to get demonetized? Do you know? You brought it up in a couple of streams. No,
listen. Here's the thing. Here's the best thing that I can do. When they flagged my video, they give you a warning, then they give you a strike, then they give you another strike, then they give third strike, you're out, you lose your channel. When you've gotten, by the time that they notify you that there was objectionable content that they gave you a warning or a strike for, you get an email, and you are also informed that the video in question has been deleted by them. They don't say it's been put in privatized. You have an obligation to delete it within X amount of time.
Right, and that's the trick. Even if it's unlisted or privatized, you still get fucked.
That doesn't matter. I got flagged on videos that were already set to private, so they don't give a fuck. That's why part of the thing that I tell people when they talk about prepping videos, like doing the old school content that involves me watching a video for an hour and a half to take notes, than to do a 2-hour video. I don't have that extra hour and a half because that extra hour and a half is dedicated to archiving shit or just deleting shit that is erroneous anymore. And I've been making nearly daily content for going on 6 years, and a lot of my videos are over 2 hours long. So there
Right.
are plenty of videos that I'm like, am I going to watch this 2 hour video to see if at one point or at another point I say something that's possibly objectionable? That's not happening. It's delete or archive, get it the fuck off, and let's move on with our lives. The videos in question that I specifically got a warning and a strike for specifically had nothing to do with the dude who brought a lawsuit against me.
Right. I
They
knew
were
that.
all,
Yeah.
to the best of my ability and to know and understand, I was issued a warning, and then a strike for talking about a certain letter in the alphabet, which makes me know and understand. One of them was a critique of Jerome
I got
Corsi.
you. Yeah.
One of them
I
was a
got you.
critique of
Took me a
Jerome
while.
Corsi. Yeah, and one of them was an analysis of I forget what it was, like Jerome Corsi or Robert David Steele or something. So
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with anything other than, obviously, the algorithm could not make the distinction between someone saying that they were a supporter of Buanon or someone saying that Buanon is bullshit and anyone who believes in it is ridiculous. No human being. The email is written as if
It's interesting.
yeah, the email that you get is written as if, me and the guys, we really don't want to flag anything. And we wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But
And we
this
watched it,
guy,
we watched your
this
video,
fucking guy.
and then we slept on it. You know what I mean? We thought about it. We're like, oh man, but then we're like, you know what? Jerome Corsi is a human being with feelings too.
Yeah.
You called him fat. All the things you said about his political things, that was fair. Then you called him
4chan
fat.
lives
That
matter.
could have hurt his feelings.
That was a
You know
joke.
what? We're gonna have to give you the strike.
Yeah.
We did it. Don't blame us. But that's not what happened at all. You get that email that's written like that, but you know what happened? A fucking bot clicked on it.
Yeah. Well, it's
Mentions,
interesting to me though,
mentions
because there are
letter,
other
mentions letter, and then flagged it.
there are other content creators though that have openly talked about this, haven't been
There's no
flagged.
rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
They have so much content going up to YouTube. I believe that the artificial intelligence algorithms moving at the speed of light
Mm-hmm.
are still in themselves overburdened. If you think about the amount of content that is uploaded to YouTube, you need to know and understand that even just running the bot algorithms at some point has an energy quotient that will
Sure.
be appreciable to YouTube Corp and Google Corp or whatever as a cost. As a cost.
Yeah. And I guess like it's weird. As you said before, you hit 10,000. It's really not that much difference between engagement as 5,000.
It's
Right. But
nothing.
for new creators, getting monetized and stuff, they're not on the radar yet. So you might have been gestating a bit in the back
Oh,
machinations of
the,
different
the, the
things.
first warning that I got was on a video that was probably 3 or 4 years old.
Mm.
Because when was the last time Jerome Corsi was on Alex Jones's InfoWars?
I have no idea.
It was a million years ago, and I didn't
Okay.
get the warning and the strike until 2020. So there was no way that video was seen or noticed by anyone for 4 years. And another
Sure.
one of the videos I think famously was talking about Jordan Peterson.
Oof.
It was nuts. So what the bottom line is this is that for me, the demonetization was actually good because I could tell you if they nuke this whole channel, that's fine. The other thing that's a great life
Yeah.
lesson is this. If you go back to my videos, all the videos that I've made about there's a song by Blues Traveler called 100 Years. And the great line is, it won't mean a thing in 100 years. All
Damn.
of the
You just
notes that I
quoted
showed you that I
Blues
spent all that
Traveler.
time on, Simon Parks, Corey Good, David Wilcock, they're all going the way of the dodo, just like me, just like
Yeah.
you. The
Oh,
relevancy of these moments in time we are experiencing in real time in the videos that I made about people from 5 years ago, if they get totally destroyed, people like to go, oh no, that'll be terrible if it got destroyed. No, it wouldn't be.
yeah.
The 5 hour hangouts of people bullshitting and joking with each other. People for years since the VHS tape. They're making their 4 hour, 5 hour videos of grandma's 80th birthday. no one is ever going to watch that video.
Oh my God. Like I think back, I started I was doing an audio podcast for at least a year and a half before I broke into YouTube. I was uploading music videos here and there, wanted to do some live stream stuff, broke into it and got slapped in the face real quick about interpersonal drama, parasocial relationships, different things. And then you wonder, it's like, what did all of that content matter? Like, what did this, who's going to go back and watch the Saturday Sideshow other than us
Yeah, no
who were
one.
pretending? And like, I like that though. It's a document about, what we were, but, with all of the
No way.
extraneous elements happening, like it was
Oh, I
just,
know. You have no
yeah.
idea. Listen. The number of videos that I can go back to that have me like debating or talking or yelling at somebody about some fucking thing like the whole paranormal hood Stephen Campion thing. Like what the
Mm.
that means we who what's the relevancy of that like 3 months from now? It's basically a recording of people like basically in a high school context being like, I don't know, man. Did you okay? So he was out of line, but like when you said that thing in response, you were kind of out of line too. And then it's like imagine like the bullshit conversations that people have had with their girlfriends over the years. If you recorded all of them and played them back, somewhere there's an Andy Warhol aficionado who watches the 8 hours of the Empire State Building every once in a while. But if you read the description of the 8 hour Andy Warhol movie, you
Yeah.
get it. You understand. You don't need to actually watch the movie. That's not the point. The point is the fact that we can do it, so we did do it. But it's like I remember when with Google Hangouts Live when people started being knowing that they could do these 8 hour hangouts. And I realized I was like, people are making 8 hour hangouts of nothing. It's like an Andy Warhol nightmare where we're all taping each other, just living life. And I
Yeah,
would say to
I
myself,
learned the hard
what is
way.
the value and the point of this video? To the degree even that it's about something, it's like a news broadcast. I have one 2.5 hour video that's about the one time that remember that Donald Trump bombed Syria. And it
Mm.
was like a minor, it was like there wasn't a lot of casualties. It was a whole brouhaha. And the relevancy of that action was dwarfed by other things that Donald Trump did, like within weeks. That video is still there, taking up 2 hours of data. Who the fuck, if even if they're interested in the historical event and want to do research, are gonna need to watch my video about it with me and my friend Dave being like, "That was fucked up, man." You know what I mean? Or talking about the fact
Sure.
that Jordan Sather was being an apologist for false
We're
flags.
just saying all the names. We're just gonna say
Why
all
not?
the names tonight. I'm just kidding.
Dave, you know what I mean? Fucking Dave,
So
man.
what I wanted to do with you, CW, since I have you here, and I honestly think that, this was for me, you're a hard man to get a hold of,
Am
too.
I?
You're a busy dude. Like it was, I wanted to ask you questions that I felt maybe people that just ran into you over the past couple of years wanted to ask, as I have. But I actually asked the chat to and I'll ask again. If you have any questions for CW, put it in all caps,
Let me get.
make it
I need to get a
meaningful.
glass of water. It'll take me 3.5 seconds. Can I
Oh,
do that?
I was hoping you'll get a question and then I could go pee. No, I'm just kidding. You're good.
Okay. Well, let me get at least that glass of water, and then I'll be good.
All right. So I haven't really been looking at the live chat. Forgive me, folks. Um, don't tell Prag he's phasing out. Oh, is my mic okay? You guys hear me okay? Was the volume all right? Thank you, KB, for giving me some latent PTSD about mic volume. Really appreciated. Thank you so much. Um, but yeah, let me know in the chat. It's good. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Reemsy. And I wanted to bring Reemsy up too earlier. I
My
forget what
favorite
about.
YouTube content creator of all time. His
I
video on
wanted to bring him
Geritol,
up earlier because we were talking about. Oh, it'll come back to me. There was something
I have to
specific
make
that was awesome.
yes,
Yes, and I really do enjoy
you
Reamsy.
brought him up, so I have to make my canned statement
Do it.
about Reamsy.
Yeah.
My favorite YouTube content creator of all time. There is not a bad video in the bunch, from feeding deer to Geritol to cologne reviews to albums spinning on everything to bookcase demonstrations, to music videos to piano and harp playing. The guy is just the best YouTube content creator of all time, in my humble opinion. And I'll tell you what,
I
I've said
agree.
this
I
before, I
mean,
say this is not a ha 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 ironic statement. I believe that Reamsey's Geritol video is the Citizen Kane of YouTube content. And I say that for very sincere and real reasons. It is a quintessential, nearly classic example of, old school YouTube content. I endorse the best YouTube video of all time is Reamsey's video about Geritol.
mm, mm,
It is.
mm.
It is. I mean,
That's it.
I can defend the position, and everyone acts like ah. No, it's the best. Goddamn, it is. It is. If you see this and pose yourself the question: is this or is this not? Well, I'm not on YouTube anymore. The classics are still up there. He's on
I was
Daily
gonna
Motion now.
say because Reamsy, I know from when we've talked in chats, he's doing Daily Motion now, isn't? But I have seen
He
replays of his
lies. He
wonderful,
lies. There's
concertos of Hair, and wasn't Grease 2 gonna be
then
one?
I think that what he'll do is it'll happen once on the live stream and then he archives it.
But yeah, brilliant creator. I know Sam Shadow asked one. Oh, and KB says not about the volume, so she was just straight up saying I'm phasing out. That works. Can't all win.
You'll lose. I love how people like help you. It's
No,
like with
it's good.
friends like these who need the knife in the back.
But anyways, so yeah, Sam Shadow had asked earlier when I put the chat in the comments, and then got myself away from it because it's hard, when you're so entranced by such a mesmerist as CW Chanter.
You're only human.
She asked, what are some recent occult slash spiritual books that you're reading for chanting?
Recent one. So I, I'm gonna blank because so I read what I read is I don't have one book going at a time. My home and my workspace, there are piles and piles and piles of books everywhere. And the little piles mean something. And they all add up and they do this. So I'm trying to think of an example of a specifically, I'm thinking of like the Western occult tradition, which is what I think she's asking about. What I'm reading, and it would be, and I'm terrible with names. What is the? It's by Peter J. Carroll. It's like the classic on Liber Null. I'm reading Liber Null. Is one of the many books that I'm reading at home, and I think that there could be an argument to be made that the works of L. Ron Hubbard fall within the Western esoteric tradition and canon. So I've actually got probably a couple of books by the old crazy guy that I'm reading as well. But like I said, you know, the spiritual religious books that I'm reading, most currently is I'm still making my way through the Urantia book. I had taken a break for a long time, but I'm up to page like 650 whatever. And which is just getting near the good part where we're talking about the Age of the Frogs. Insider Urantia book jokes. Who needs that? But they're different ones. And what else am I reading? Oh, there he's back. I don't know. It's tough for me to remember these things
Oh,
because
damn it.
I
You
read.
noticed I was gone? That was the whole
They
point.
did. They also, I think there was a volume drop as well.
Oh no. On your end.
Well, when you disappeared, they said that the mic drop. It sounded like that's when the mic drop
Oh, so maybe I'm
occurred. So it
picking
might have
you
been that
up.
there's something that happened.
Maybe I'm picking you up all
Who
along.
knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, I
But
apologize. I had to sneak a restroom break there.
you have to. I mean, you're only human.
You know.
So I don't know if I gave a satisfactory answer. I mentioned the Liber Null by Peter
Sure.
Carroll is one of the books that I'm reading now. I guess which is the book that I'm reading now that I think solidly falls within the Western esoteric tradition, which
Hmm.
was the sense of what I thought Sam was asking about. I
Well, like,
tend to.
yeah, and I've been, Liber Chaos is one that I still haven't finished.
Oh no, no,
Like,
no. Yeah, I mean, all these
yeah.
things, like like I buy more books than I read, so
Well,
I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna
saying,
I'm not
like,
gonna
in the
bullshit.
trajectory of both of those, Pete Carroll books,
Right,
like in that sequence, like there's just something beautifully understated about Liber Null
right.
and the
Now, here,
Psychonaut.
of all the chaos authors that I've read the most, you mentioned Phil Hine.
Yes.
Phil Hine essentially writes some first works, but a lot of what Phil Hine is about, he's almost like the Israel Regardie
Yeah.
of the modern chaos magic movement,
He's a
because a lot of what
demolisher.
he does is synthesis
Hmm.
and digesting and kind of introductory works and materials. So of all the chaos magical books that I've read far more Hine than
Yes,
I've
me
read
too.
Carroll.
Yeah. There's a pomposity with Carol that
Oh, absolutely.
Hein just has just a beautiful, yeah, I wouldn't call it layman. It's obviously, kind of above that with like rhyme and meter and writing. It's really beautifully constructed, but just he's like a servitor unto himself about just being uh human about with all of this.
If you read the introductory paragraphs to a Phil Hine book on chaos magic, you will probably go away with at least one or two meditative techniques that in and of themselves can be utilized and worked with for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
That
And
guy's
not to mention like what he's done to open and kind of, like I said, he's a demolisher of condensed chaos, obviously, when I was a
brilliant.
kid, when I was younger. But Heinz Varieties, which came out a few years ago, he's talking about how he left it all behind. He thought it was all rubbish, and then it started seeping back into his life. Like, very little do we have about, scholars and writers within this paradigm talk about how maybe their work was bullshit before, and now it's singing to them again, or they're kind of understanding it.
Sure. Or like just being honest, just absolutely honest with the journey rather than just trying
Yeah.
to. Well, I mean, unfortunately, there's a ton of work and material out there that is absolutely nothing except the regurgitation and the look how much I know about Aleister Crowley,
Yep.
or look how much I know about Spare or whatever. It's just it's Reader's Digest history lessons
Sure.
rather than anything else, or just the pomposity of people acting as if that if Aleister Crowley wrote and practiced and they write and practice, they're in some way, shape, or form Aleister Crowley. And it's like the same thing with like what I talk about with hashtag no new music. It's like Jason Love can write till the cows come home. No one's gonna remember you. No one will ever
Right.
fucking remember you or your work. Not that you are disregardable as a human being, but it's just because it's just that era has ended. There are in a world where everyone can create content, the creation of content is somewhat irrelevant and just becomes an aspect of living life.
For sure. Yeah, and like, yeah, I mean, to me, that's when we talked offline and I was asking you about certain topics. One of my major things was, oh no, this isn't an authoritative voice. This is a casual, anecdotal, experiential kind of conversation between
Sure.
two people. And like that has always been my thing with it. To me, that sings more than, you know, you citing the I don't know, whatever. Like I said, I'm trying to make words not work anymore. Um,
Solar Marshall's in the live chat. He says, I read up and I see CW. I need an answer, man.
mm. All right, so let's do this. So Solar Marshall, what was his question?
I have no idea. All I know, this happens to me in the live chat all the time.
Oh
I'm
no,
talking, then I look to the live chat. People are like, "When is he going to answer my question?"
I'm
And
feeling
I'm
your
like,
pain
"Oh, you
right
got a
now. I will
question?"
never look at your live chat the same again. I get you now.
So the Martian says, "CW Chanter, could you give me a private link to the Lazard debunk vid we did, please?" I may not be able to, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm gonna be completely fucking honest with you, Solar. If there's a way that I can do it, maybe. I don't have time to think about my channel. I really don't. And I love you. And Kelly was involved in the production of that video. And there are deals that I made that with people that involve Chichesco moves. Like I'm just I don't know what to tell you. If you don't cry, if it exists, it was not deleted. It was, I want to post it. People used it. So here's the deal. I'll find it. It's archived. He says, "Oh man, yeah. Well, my girlfriend left me for a month over that night." Yeah, I believe you. Believe you me, kiddo. I hear you. If it exists, it's archived. Here's the deal, man. I've got.
Here's the deal, man.
So I'll be completely straight. It was gold. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's the fact that you know what I mean. Like in my personal life, it's just that there's things that I've had to do and I'm having to do. If I can listen here, you're not the first person to request a video. Listen, if I have it and it hasn't been archived yet, it's merely been privatized. We'll get you the link. I'll give you a period of time that you can get it, and I don't know what you're gonna do. You can post it on your own channel or whatever. I don't know. Like I don't really. You did do a lot of work on that, but here's the thing. You don't need to email Debbie. I'm giving you my word. I'll get you the copy of the video. But Solar, here's what you need to do. You need to send me an email just to make sure that I've got your email so I can send you a link. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. To the degree that I can get you the link, I'm going to get you the link and I'm going to say these two words to the effect of, you've got 24 hours, 48 hours to download it by any means necessary. And then whatever happened to it is going to happen to it. If it's already been archived, I'm going to tell you what, if we'll have to figure out a deal. You'll mail me a thumb drive, I'll mail you a thumb drive back, whatever the case it is, and we'll figure it out. But here's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you I can get you a copy of the video because it's not deleted. I know that much. But I will tell you this. It's gonna fucking happen when it fucking happens. I don't have time in my life. I got my kids, I got the job, I got maintaining my YouTube video, I got jerking off in the corner to computer porn. I've got talking to this douchebag over here. I've got reading books and spending 2.5 hours meditating, chanting, and reading books when I'm not jerking off in the corner in the kitchen. It'll happen when it happens. I'll get it to you when I fucking get it to you. And if you ask me 3 times, I'm going to tell you, well, now you're going to wait 9 months because it's just the way that it goes. Not because I want to be a dick, but because I am one.
CW, can you do me an honor?
No.
At no.
I said no.
As we close out, well, check this out. As we close out, it would be an honor for you to tend to the live chat. And I'm not pushing that, I'm not skirting that away. But as much as I've seen you handle a live chat every day, Mr.
Sure.
Streamer 2, a couple days a week, I think it would be pretty fantastic for you to handle this one.
Okay, I see the recommendation, the book recommendation from Oswald Spangler. Oswald, I read all your emails, though I don't respond to all of them. We also have a question. Philip Blair says, CW Chanter, interview of Walter Bosley, Ben. You've asked that before. I believe that video is already up. So when I set all my videos to private, the first videos to come back were the videos that were interviews with other people, because I know the feeling. I have done multiple interviews on people's channels and then have had them nuke their channels or set all their content to private and retire. And I'm like, that's great, but that was 2 hours that I took out of my day to bullshit with you or whatever. Could you have not done that? So most of my videos that have interviews are back up. So it may be the fact that the video is already back up. If it's not backed up or already up, we'll get there when we get to it. There's no reason for the Walter Bosley video not to be up because I like the video. Oswald Spangler says Bosley will never be deleted from YouTube because he's a Fed. Absolutely. Solar Marshall, listen, you did a lot of work. The video was great. In fact, the video was great. I might very well look at it and just put it back up. I mean, it is what it is, but no one understands this. Like I say this because I'm not trying to like unperson anybody. Like I said Kelly's name for a reason. She's a human being. She existed. We were together for a while. We're no longer together. Proceeding and moving through life, I have to think about already. My kids are 10 years old. They're getting to the stage where they know that I'm called CW Chanter. They've seen, what my kids love? My kids love Mercado. Jose Mercado made a video about a music video about, doing a parody of that song, It Wasn't Me by Shaggy. My kids can't get enough of that video. They must have watched that video 10 times each, right? They also, what video my kids love? The clip that Spooky made of me talking to you, where she puts the little Irish hat on me.
Oh, yeah.
That thing, my kids can't get enough of that. The issue then is, so my kids know about the CW Chanter channel.
Oh, shit.
And we don't want them running into archives and saying like, who the fuck is that? So that's why a lot of stuff, and it hurts because she did work too. She did some stuff too. That was, her intellectual property, her contributions, and and it is what it is. But here's the other thing. Like, so, it is what it is, but we have to count our blessings and we have to be aware of things. So that's that. Too much information.
Yeah.
But Solar Marshall, like, here's the thing about why some of the interviews went back up immediately is because Solar Marshall did a lot of work on that video. So it's not like I'm going to be like, fuck it, screw you, done, your mother. I'm not giving you that video. You know what I mean? It was your contribution, and it sucks because it was a great video, but at the end of the day, Shadows on Production says John Teeter 3 is a mantid is worth reposting. That's not up. Again, no offense, you worthless cocksuckers. I have a feeling that some of these videos are up, and you're just Fatback Cactus, I believe, is up. I believe that video is up. And to the degree that it's not, like I said, it takes a while. You know what it takes to go through? I have made videos 5 nights a week for going on 6 fucking years. Do you know what it's like when I try to go through my archives and how about this? How many of the archives, the video title has nothing to do with the content of the video?
It's like Nirvana.
The title of the video is why the thorny roses of summer bring a tear to my eye and a skip to my step. And it's a 4.5-hour video, and the thumbnail is me and Michael on the Arrows yelling at each other. What the fuck is in that video? Do I archive it? Do I delist it? Do I privatize it? Do I put it on Patreon? Is it going to get somebody sued? Is it going to get somebody arrested? What the, and it's just, you say, fuck it, archive it, and fuck it, get it offline, because we don't know how many times that
I appreciate
video is going to get flagged.
Yeah, it's like Nirvana songs. Like, what?
Oh. Reevesy says CW video titles always confuse me. They're supposed to. So my commitment is to refute through action the notion that I should pander to the audience or make it easier for them. And that's one of the things. Like, I know that if I talk about David Wilcock, Mendoza, Simon Parks, or whoever, that video is going to get a ton of views. There are reasons that I make a video about those guys sometimes, and then I give the video a wacky title. Why? So that I could tell you guys, the Reemseys, the Jasmine Erics, the Stephen Ronins, the Sixth Sense, the people that show up for every fucking video, so that you can know that you guys, because you tune into every video, You got the classic CW telling somebody he's an asshole video, and those jackass shithead moron fucktards who don't fucking get off their ass unless I put somebody's specific name in the fucking video so they can come fucking get their whack off jollies to me yelling at another human being on the internet, like for whatever reason. Fuck them. You didn't get a chance to see that video. And also the people that hate watch me who are making transcriptions for fucking Dear Leader of the shit that I said about them. It's going to be a 2.5 hour video. The first 45 minutes are going to be about me talking about why fucking Pearl Jam is basically Menudo, right? That's going to be the first 45 minutes. Then I'm going to yell at the live chat for another 25. Then there's going to be 15 minutes of solid burn against Dear Leader. Another thing about Dear Leader is you got to realize this. He's lying to his own children. Can you fucking believe that? Blah, 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 blah. And that's that gold that they're never going to see unless they watch through that first 6 torturous hour of nonsense. You do it. And then I'm going to talk for another 45 minutes about nothing. And every moment that I'm talking about nothing, you're going to want to click off. But you're not going to want to click off because you know the minute you fucking click off is the minute I'm going to be like, and you know who else can suck a dick? Cliff High. What's up with that shithead? And you'll be like, damn it, I missed it. And timestamp, I ain't giving you a timestamp. I'm fucking annotating my video, and I'm certainly not going to title it in a way that makes you know what you're going to get. Fuck it. You don't watch my video? Guess what? That happened.
Listen, you sway with Mendoza and sting with Commonwealth chanting.
Whatever that means.
In your videos, that sweet, delicate boxing dance.
Oh, that's it. It's all delicate dance. It's all delicate dance.
Well, CW, it has been such a pleasure. I hope everyone.
Holy shit! Honestly, it's almost midnight. What the fuck? Yeah. How long have we been doing this?
I was gonna say you got a life. So do I.
I got a life. News to me.
But it was an honor for you to rail against my live chat. So thank you so much.
It's well worth it.
Much appreciated.
It's 20 minutes to midnight. What the fuck are we doing? You're an asshole. I'll tell you another thing.
I'm sorry.
First of all, nice fucking little hat. And what's up with the like? What is that steampunky-esque?
Oh, jacket? it's a polyester kind of Confederate shirt.
Whatever it is, it looks like.
I shouldn't have said that because it's not. It's not the reason why I didn't get it. All right, the reason why I got it wasn't because it was a Confederate style. That's just the name of the style.
This guy looks like he's cosplaying as the Leatherman from Village.
I knew it. I was waiting for that rip.
Oh yeah, when you put that,
I put on a little hat.
He was like, this was you, and if this was, I can read fucking minds. Check this out. This is it. Watch this. He put it on, looked in the mirror, and said, "CW Chanter is going to give me so much shit." And then he started taking it off and realized, wait. If I take it off, I'm taking it off because CW Chanter is going to give me so much shit.
You can't win.
Now I'm committed. Now I have to keep it on. Yeah. And I know it's going to happen.
To be fair, I just came back from the woods in Washington.
You wear that
smell like shit, from tracking animals.
He's that guy.
And then I was like, yeah, polyester, the smell can't get through, and Mary can not be pissed off at me. But
good luck with that. Too funny. No, so this fucking guy, here's the original point. So we're trying to figure out the time that we're going to do this, and we're trying to figure out time schedule. And I realized for him, he just went from 6 to what? Not 8:40, 9:30. What time is it by you?
It is 9:04. Oh no, it's shit. What time is it here? It is 8:42.
So that's damn early. He's still got a night in front of him. He can read a book. He can have dinner. Meanwhile, I've got to, bear the elements here because we started off 9. And I know, but it was a delightful time. That's why we lost track of the time.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I really thought I had an open week because I just ended up starting this tracking project today. So this was my first day in Seattle or in Washington doing it. And I was like, yeah, we can do it. Sorry, it's late, But I really appreciate it, man. I know how hard it is.
This is a lesson for Solar Marshall and anyone else who's going to wait for me to get off my ass and do something that I said that I'm going to do for them. Literally, Keats's first request that I come onto his channel it occurred in 2020.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
I mean,
long time ago. That's what Jiggy needs to understand.
Oh,
That's what all
no,
these people
no.
need to
First of all,
understand.
here's fucking Jiggy. Jiggy's complaining about me not appearing on this channel. Meanwhile, this is me every morning checking the Twitter at like what 9:45 a.m. while I'm sitting there waiting for a bagel or whatever. Oh, Jiggy sent me a link at 9:30.
Mm,
Oh, you know, just a
yeah,
random Twitter DM. Like, we have got to schedule this. If you want me to be on, this must be scheduled.
yeah.
Who
Well,
knows? We'll figure it out.
it's a hell of a day. Started with a solar eclipse. Make of that what you will.
I forgot
I
about
had
this
my
already.
first day of workout here. Came home, got CW'd, got some nice ribbing. That sounded dark and weird. You know what I mean?
One last thing before we go. Kid Cosmic says, the CW remember his video with Natasha Nix when the Zoom the Zoom revealed her set. Absolutely. That was a classic moment. I think the one playlist on my channel, public playlist on my channel that's the kind of like the least volatile that's still mostly there is the one called CW Chanter in the Wild, which is all the interviews that I've done and appearances I've done on other people's channel. So if she hasn't set that video to private or hasn't deleted her YouTube video channel, it should be there. It was a classic moment, and it was great. Basically what happened was her green screen fell down, and it's like that moment in The Simpsons when Marge is showing people's houses, and then all of a sudden the whole fucking front end of Lenny's house falls down. You see him like sitting like in boxer shorts and a wife beater, eating a cold bowl of cereal, like underneath like a bare light, single light bulb. And he just looks up despondently and says, "Please don't tell people how I live." She had this great, amazing green screen setup. It looked like she was like fucking basically broadcasting from some like decadent Roman bath. It was all like glowing, synergy bottles and fucking red velvet and all this
Synergy
stuff. The
bottles.
thing
I
falls
love it.
down and she's basically in my fucking office. It was terrible. It's like
Yeah.
it was
Oh
great.
no, it's my favorite.
Great.
I'm not gonna lie, CW. When I was on, I was with Sam last night, and she was really helping me like work out some OBS stuff because this has been like weeks in the work. I had to like
Right.
just do Zoom before we went on because nothing was working. And Sam and I were laughing. It's like you're gonna have all this shit behind you and like have like high quality titles, blah blah blah. And CW is just gonna hit live in his office.
That's
So it's
it.
all good.
People were like, "You should work on your thumbnails." I'm like, "No,
Nope.
no." You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing shit for you. You were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you should just edit that part out." I'm not editing it out. I'm not
Nope.
watching this bullshit again to get to the fucking 15-second mark where I gotta take out clip 2 seconds. Fuck you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I dig it.
How
And
about
it's
I
the
don't
same,
do
it's the
that?
same with your with your Patreon, which I know you've been actually adding some more
I
stuff
added
to.
one video.
Yeah.
Let's not go nuts.
One video. Nice. Yeah. You were like, hey, I did a Patreon video. I was like, holy shit.
Everyone, we're gonna try and be more consistent and do what we can do to make it worth what people's while.
And
But yeah,
listen,
no, but
I'm
so
subscribed,
here's the other thing.
you
I may only
people
have
should
5,000
subscribe.
subscribers, but I tell people this, and I know we gotta get the fuck out of here. I know I gotta get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here. I literally, people can do all the shit that they want to with OBS and these flying chyrons and all that crap, and you'll get more views than me, but you'll never be able to do what the fuck I do, which is I fucking hit record and I'm naturally that fucking entertaining. I don't make up any stories about meeting anyone special or being contacted by a blue avian race. I don't need to do any of that shit. I
For
open my
sure.
mouth to talk about what fucking happened to me at the fucking diner last night, and that'll be more compelling than any of the bullshit that you dreamers come up with in 1,000 fucking years. Kiss my fucking ass.
Amen. Not today, Yahweh. Not
That's it.
today.
Not
All
even
right, man.
tomorrow.
CW, thank you so much.
Thank you
Everyone
for
in the
having me,
chat.
brother.
If I could afford a new mic, I would have dropped this one after that.
Hey,
But
listen, my mics break. I don't replace them. I just go back to whatever.
but anyways, yeah, it was a pleasure, man. This will be out
No
for
doubt.
those watching. This will be out in audio podcast form within the next week. You can get it at iTunes, Stitcher, whatever podcatcher, cast Potter
Because
thing. that you
Nothing's
listen
bigger
to.
than the world of podcasting.
Yeah,
All right.
Spotify. I don't know.
Catch me on Stitcher.
Yeah,
Where all the cool kids
Stitcher.
hang
I know.
out on
How dated
Stitcher.
am I? Stitcher.
That's
All
it.
right.
It's the podcast.
Yeah. Also, I put out a new album. Hashtag no new music. And
Absolutely.
it's I'm only doing it through, if you PayPal me with the link in the description,
Ooh.
$5 or more, I'll send it to you. I'm not doing wide release streaming shit anymore. It's
Oh,
if you like it, you like it. If you want it, you'll get it. And if you can't afford it, I'll send it to you too. So anyways, thank you everyone. Fuck yeah, we're in Seattle. Thank you to CW. And shit, this was a lot of fun. But yeah,
oh
now
yeah.
I've got to go take a shower because I smell like coyote.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's coyote sprays. All right, I'm gonna take us
Follow
out
that
here.
shit. Tell the people on the internet. Tell them it's a pheromone.
Pheromones. That's what they call them when it's really just dick fume. Okay.
You'd make more sales with Dick Fume. It's the title of his new record. Meanwhile, I got a new record too. Send me $10. I'll send you nothing.
I'm gonna put out a record called hashtag no new music and see
You
if you sue
should.
me.
Oh, I get it. It's ironic. Oh. I love the. I'm not streaming this stuff. Give it away for free. You gotta give me $5. And your
Oh no, I
grandma's
said like I will
Keats needs
send it to you if you want
$5.
it.
Now listen,
I ain't getting paid from streaming services, and I've got a lot of records out
you ain't
there.
getting paid
So
by
fuck 'em.
PayPal either, bitch.
Yes. Actually,
Oh
never
yeah,
mind. We won't get. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a good experiment, and people really came out for it when I
sure.
released it, and that was really nice. So
Good, yeah. God bless
yeah,
you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a
Because
while
it's
since
all
Love and
about the
Rockets.
money at the end
It's
of the
been a
day.
while since Love and Rockets got together and released an
Ah.
album, so at least I got Keats out there. Hashtag no new music. Dead on.
Hashtag
No
tones on
fans.
fail.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, we're playing this out. Have a good night, y'all. Haunt on.